Thanks for having me, girl.
You're welcome. So I have worked with Erwin several times on wedding and non-wedding occasions. She's very professional, knows what she's doing. The most feedback I hear from all of my clients is that she's personable and she's fun. So she was like the first person that I thought of to ask, honestly, as a makeup artist to be a part of the Bride series. So Erwin, I don't want to do it for you. So we want to know who you are, what you do, and what is your why.
Well, thank you again for having me in your bridal series. It's an amazing idea, especially, with being in Florida. There's a lot of weddings going on here, so that was an amazing idea. My name is Erwin Cutts. I'm a makeup artist. I've been a makeup artist for about 11 years now. Makeup artist and esthetician, but I mostly do makeup now. And I've been doing that for about 11 years and I love it. The other question was, what was my why, right?
Yes.
My why, honestly, at the moment is my son. I have a 7-month-old, soon to be 8-month-old. He motivates me. And he's the reason why I wake up in the morning to go to work and hustle with, 2 hours of sleep, I just want to build a legacy for him. I want to show him that, his mom is a hustler and, I want to be able to give him everything that I never had. So yeah, my son, Christian, is my why.
Awesome. And you're also married. So that is a factor that may not be a factor for all of the speakers, even for the host. I'm not married and I'm single, so
talk. Yet.
I know everybody keeps saying that. I don't know where he's at, but back to you guys. All right. So talk about how doing what you love and being a makeup artist, like how does that, spousal support? Like, can you touch on that?
Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm blessed to have an amazing husband that, Mike has been supporting me from day one. And when we first met, I told him I was a makeup artist. And what I love about him is every time I have an idea, different ideas, he's always there to, give me his feedback. And he's always giving me he's really good with like marketing ideas. So he's always throwing little ideas at me. And I think that makes us a wonderful team. And that's what a marriage is about. It's about, being that team and being together. And I love that. He's always supported me and I really appreciate that about him. Yeah.
Awesome. So how can attendees find you?
Attendees can find me on social media. First, they can find me on Facebook. I have a Facebook fan page. If they just type in Erwin Artistry in the search button, they'll find my page and they can just like the page. And I'm also on Instagram under Erwin Artistry as well. It's my first name, ERWIN, and then Artistry, like artistry. And they can find me there and follow me. And I post makeovers, videos. Not all the time. Well, I post as often as possible, but yeah, that's where they can find me.
Awesome. So we have on the website, we also have most of the speakers, actually we have all the speakers linked on the bottom, on the very bottom. It says join our adventures on Instagram and you'll be able to find their page. We chose Instagram because most people are on social media. So nowadays it's like linking to the website. It's like, you're limiting them to that one spot where if you join through social media, they're able to find you everywhere else because it's almost like a digital business card now, how people are using social media. So you guys will be able to find Erwin and the other speakers through that portion of the website. So we have attendees that are brides, couples, and also professionals. So there could be other professional makeup artists, hairstylists, photographers, etc. So our questions are primarily tailored to couples and brides, and then you'll find some questions that are tailored to professionals. So I'll kind of cue you where we're going, so you can answer, accordingly. So the first question is, when should a bride do a makeup trial and why?
The best time a bride should do a makeup trial, I would say about a month before the wedding. Because sometimes, when you do the trial too early, sometimes you change your mind and different trends come along before the wedding. So you don't want to do your trial like 3 or 6 months before, and then and then something new come up, or you find a new makeup inspiration, and you're like, oh gosh, now I have to go, do another trial. So a month before is the best way to do it, to plan it. And it's really good to do a trial, because doing a trial, it just puts you at ease. At least okay, the day of, everything is set. I know what I want. Not to say that you can't change your mind, because I've had brides that maybe a week before the wedding, they'll send me a picture and say, hey, can I do it like that instead? Which is fine. But if when you do the trial, that would give you a peace of mind, and that, okay, I really love the way she does it. And sometimes you might see an artist, online, or someone referred you to them, and when you go through the trial, you don't like their personality and you don't like their vibe. So doing the trial prior is very important, because then that kind of gives you an idea of the type, the makeup artist personality and her experience, to see, because sometimes, a lot of times, the way you see a person do, the way the makeup looks on social media, on the website, doesn't look the same in person. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. What are some simple skincare regimens that a bride can do to prep her skin for the wedding day / bridal makeup? So for instance, I don't want to tell you them, but I think if you don't, you get what I'm asking, right?
Yeah. So, a lot of times, a lot of brides make the mistake of, going to do like a facial, or like a chemical peel like a week before the wedding. That's a horrible idea. If you want to do a facial, or you want to do a chemical peel or microdermabrasion, you want to do that a month before the wedding, because the skin sheds every 27 days. So if you had a reaction, or if the skin peeled, then you have time to have that new rejuvenated skin in. That way, when it comes to the wedding, you don't have like so many, dark spots on your face, or whatever reaction you had from the chemical peel, because everybody's skin react differently. And to me, to be honest, I'm more of like the natural route when it comes to things. Like, I would say, I know from my my background, I'm Haitian, so our tradition is, whenever the bride, someone is getting married, we would like puree some carrots, or you can peel the carrots, and then the skin from the carrots, you rub that over the skin, and you let it sit there, and it helps to make the skin look really refreshed and rejuvenated. I know a lot of my Indian brides, they do the turmeric. They rub it all over their skin just to make that. Yeah. So, but we use carrots. So you want to do that, or you want to just do like a sugar scrub on your face. You want to keep everything natural. That way, there's no reaction. You don't have, because you don't know how your skin's gonna react if you're doing something new. Like if you doing a chemical peel, or when you use what you have in your kitchen that's natural, organic, there's no way it's gonna break you out, or
That's a good point. I know some people who use turmeric for to reduce inflammation. So I'm assuming it has
a lot. That really helps a lot, but you have to be careful. The turmeric, especially on darker skin, it would make the skin really, really yellow, and that when you take pictures, you're gonna look like you have jaundice. So if you're gonna use turmeric, I say use that at least a week and a half to 2 weeks before the wedding. That way, it gives the skin time to take away that yellow residue on your skin.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's the point. And I didn't know the skin sheds. I mean, I know skin sheds period, but every 27 days. So it's almost like every month you have one day where you
that's why you have to wait. A lot of time people think that they can just go do a facial like every week or every 2 weeks. It's not good for the skin. So you want to wait to, freshen your skin.
Okay. Okay, so the next question is,
Mhm.
How does a bride choose her makeup artist? Like, what advice can you give from your expertise?
I would say for me, the best way to get, hire a makeup artist is number one, word of the mouth. Word of the mouth, or referral. And that's how I get most of my clients. 95% of my business is through a referral. And I think a good referral is the best way, it's the best advertisement for somebody too. But now that, with social media is really big, and you can get to see the person's work there too. So I think social media is another great way to find a makeup artist. Social media is really, really good. And if you know any photographers, if you have any friends that got married before, you can ask them, hey, who did your makeup? If you like their makeup.
Right.
And ask around, and then you can Google search. People find me on Google too sometimes.
So like staying with the social media as like a search engine for finding a makeup artist. How, like, if I'm a bride or even a professional, maybe I want to get headshots done.
Mm-hmm.
How does that, like, because it's so saturated with, like, just like in my field with, photographers and cinematographers, it's so saturated with so many people. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, you have, I hate to say this, like, but the Walgreens makeup, shopper who's like, I'm professional, and they may not be, on your level or be able to do wedding makeup. Let's just be honest.
Uh-huh.
How does a bride, or like I said, a professional who maybe wants to do some headshots, how do they decipher between, Erwin and Anesha, who doesn't do makeup, but because I grabbed some pretty makeup that day, now I'm calling myself a professional makeup artist?
A lot of times people don't understand there's a big difference between doing like having your friend do like an everyday makeup or, photo ready makeup. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to the mall or you're going to a birthday party and, you want your friend to do your makeup, that's fine. But if you know that, the occasion or the pictures, you need it to be professional and you need to be photo ready, I think the best thing to do is to hire a professional makeup artist, because sometimes when it comes to hiring a professional makeup artist, they know, for us, the skin is like a blank canvas. And we see a lot of things that, a regular person might not see. And we know how to correct certain things on the skin that, a regular person might not be able to correct. So if you know that you need your pictures for headshots and for your wedding, you definitely want to get someone that knows what they're doing, because the way you take a picture, on your regular phone, it's definitely not going to show the way, the picture shows on a professional camera. So you want to make sure, especially when it comes to foundation and the highlighting, you have to think about flashback from the photography. If you really need to hire someone professional that knows what they're doing, because it's very tricky when it comes to executing the makeup for photo ready.
Right. No, those are some good points. I mean, I know I had a client who I referred to Erwin, it was a male client who was doing a photo shoot, and he told me he had some kind of, I think he had a breakout or something like that, and he was like, he sent me a picture. And him and I are close, so I know he won't mind me like being a little bit specific. But he sent me a picture. He's like, "Hey, you think you can Photoshop that?" I was like, I'm not sure. I mean, you can Photoshop pretty much anything, but yeah, I like to get it right in camera. It saves time on the client's end and my end, because one, I'm not spending a lot of time editing. Two, they get their product back faster because I'm not spending a lot of time editing.
Right.
But the first person I thought of was Erwin. I referred him, and I
remember who he is too, who he was.
And he was like, "Wait a minute, guys, I'm not, he's, just his comment was basically like, I don't wear makeup," in a nutshell, like paraphrasing. And I was like, no, like think of it, as like having Photoshop before Photoshop,
Right.
And when he got his images back, he was just like, oh, like, because it was professionally done, because Erwin knows how to do makeup for, there's lighting involved when you're doing a photo shoot. Even with natural light, it's still light source. But when you're doing a photo shoot and you have those powerful lights, you can have buttload of makeup on and it'll wash it out if it's not, enough or done properly. So, you know, as far as what Erwin was explaining about, you know, having it photo ready, that's like that's why I said, I told you I'm taking notes. Their responses are new to me. So I'm taking notes for keynotes. That's a really, really, really good point.
Your wedding, those pictures are gonna last, like, you know, you want to look back 10 years from now and still be happy with your makeup, you know,
Right.
and you don't want to just get anybody or do it yourself and then you look back and you're like, oh my god, my skin looks ashy, oh my god, I look great. Because especially African American, our skin sometimes, if we don't correct, because people think that you just cake the makeup on, that's what's going to cover, but no, you have to know how to color correct. That way, once you put the foundation, you don't look ashy, because that's a lot of times that's what happens. You get that gray film over the skin when you use the camera, when the camera flashes on it. So yeah, you need to get someone that knows what they're doing with a lot of experience with color correcting.
That's good. I have to write that one down for sure, because color correcting, you know, is what photographers do. Even like I said, my practice is to get it right in camera, but sometimes, you know, lighting changes or you turn them a different way. Now you're lighting. I mean, like myself, I have more light on this side, but if I turn this way, now it's showing my full face. If not, now it's on half. So all of those things are, you know, consideration. So my next question would be, how could a bride keep her lip color on all day?
What I do with my brides is, there's so many different lip options out there now. Like it's amazing what they have. You want to make sure that you ask your makeup artist for smudge proof lipsticks and transfer proof, like it doesn't transfer. And you also want to do a matte lip. Even if you want to add gloss to it, you want whatever lipstick that you're putting on, you want it to have a matte finish. If it has a matte finish, even if you add gloss to it, even when the gloss starts to wear off, the lipstick is going to stay on. But the best thing to do is to get a matte smudge proof, and there's so many brands out there that have them for inexpensive too. And if you're hiring a makeup artist, they know, if you know, I know for myself, all I have, like when it comes to weddings, all I have in my kit now are like waterproof, smudge proof, everything, especially for weddings, for brides. So I mean, a professional makeup artist should know that.
Yeah, that's good. What's your thoughts on the bridal party having their makeup done by the makeup artist who's done the bride?
Oh, okay. I've had brides that have done both. I've had brides that, most of my brides, they just let me or my business partner do the makeup, and I've also had brides where I would do the bride and then they have someone else to do the bridesmaids. A lot of times the brides do that because, you know, I understand that weddings, you know, tend to be expensive. They want to cut corners, or sometimes they have a friend that says, you know, I'll do it for free, or, you know, I'll do it for really cheap. But you have to think about it. You're gonna get what you pay for. So, and what I've seen is that the bride look one way and then the bridesmaid, you know, they don't look cohesive. Like, of course the bride is the, you know, showstopper. She's the star of the, you know, the group. But at the same time, you're going to have those pictures. You still want your bridesmaid to look amazing as well, because they're standing next to you. So unless you can find a makeup artist that's, sorry about that, my batteries, unless you find a makeup artist that, you know, two makeup artists that does makeup similar, which is kind of hard to find because everybody has their own style. But if you're going to choose two different makeup artists, you want to make sure that they're both, you know, their work are similar. So that way it doesn't, in pictures, it doesn't look like, whoa, two people did their makeup, because they all look different.
Right. Yeah, that's funny. Not funny, but ironic, I should say, that you mentioned having two different looks, because Crystal kind of talks about having two different hairstyle looks. Like if you only have the hairstyles of the bride, but not the bridesmaid. So like she looks flawless, and it's like, well, who did it?
And everybody else curls just start falling at the end of
So
Yeah.
that's funny how like the makeup and the hair kind of have the same, standards that you should look.
Right.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay, so my next question is, how important, and I think you kind of touched on this, but not really with one of the questions I asked earlier, but how important is sleep?
Oh my God. Sleep is very, very, very important. I know it's hard because when you're a bride and you're anxious and you're antsy about everything because you want everything to go right, but you have to sleep. Otherwise, your pictures, you're gonna look tired. As makeup artists, we can only do so much. We can cover and color correct the dark circles, but if your eyes sometimes sleep, when you're sleep deprived, it doesn't just show in your eyes, it show in your vibe. And then when the videographer comes in, she's trying to take videos of you, she's trying to take pictures of you, but you look sad and washed out even with the makeup. You want to make sure you get some sleep, and you want to make sure you drink a lot of water, because you want the skin to look rejuvenated. If you can even do a little exercise too, that would help, because that the more that helps to plump the skin. And when blood start flowing through the skin, everything looks amazing. The makeup, your highlight, your skin looks great. You don't have large pores, your makeup looks flawless. Sleep is very important. And if you can even do drink some like cucumber water, or eat a lot of cucumbers, or even put the cucumbers on your eyes the night before, or even the morning before, that would help a lot. So yeah, you definitely need some sleep.
And what do the cucumbers do? Like,
The cucumbers is gonna like take away the puffiness.
okay.
Lack of sleep sometimes makes the eyes puffy, and it helps to diminish the dark circles under the eyes.
I need some cucumbers.
Cucumbers, almond oil really help. Coffee, grind. You can
Coffee.
grind. Yeah, you can grind coffee bean and put it sit it on your eye. Don't open your eyes, but
Right. Wow,
it helps with the puffiness and the dark circles.
Cool. That's a cool one. So
Yeah.
speaking of coffee, let's go to the next question. What foods should brides avoid? For instance, caffeine, sugar, to help their skin look flawless. I guess we kind of just touched on it, but expound maybe a little bit more about like sugars and other, food products.
Yes. Sodas like coffee, tea. First of all, that's gonna stain your teeth, and you want your teeth to be nice and white for the wedding. If you really are a coffee person or a tea person, you love it, just drink it in a straw, and that's gonna help to not stain the teeth. And also, any like fried food is gonna it's actually, I know us Black people, we love us some fried chicken, but if you can at least let it go for a month before the wedding, because when you have a lot of sugar and saturated fat in your body, that actually makes you break out. So you want to not eat that, and you want to make sure that you're drinking a lot of water, because if you are eating bad, you want to make sure you're like drinking like a gallon of water a day, because that's going to help to flush out your system, and it's going to help the skin to look right. I mean, if you want your makeup and your you should sacrifice. Like, just don't eat bad for a whole month. Come on, like the pictures are going to last. You can go back to eating bad after the wedding, but I think you can give it away for at least a month.
Wow, that's really, really
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not big on fried food, but I do like me some chicken. So
Yeah, some chicken, sodas, candy, like let all that stuff go. Like just eat lots of fruits, veggies, and the water. I'm really big on the water. That helps with the skin a lot, because there's nothing, when the skin is not healthy, the makeup, flawless makeups comes with flawless skin. You have to take care of the skin. And that helps the makeup artist not to spend so much time on your makeup. And it helps the makeup artist not to put so much makeup on the face, because sometimes the skin is so bad that you have to keep, adding things, layers and layers of things to cover it. But you don't want to look like you have like a big glob of makeup on your face.
Especially if you're like a natural, like I know I'm gonna be a natural if I ever,
exactly.
Like I only wear eyeliner and literally like Carmex.
Carmex? I have those brides all the time, the natural brides, which is fine. So that makes it even, you know, if you know you're a natural person, you don't like a lot of makeup, then you have to make the effort to take care of the skin. That way, whoever you hire doesn't have to, you know, put a whole bunch of makeup on your face.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would you say as far as like, let's say you have allergies or you have fear? Because I know, like for me, my skin's very sensitive, so I literally stay in the same regimen of stuff. I rarely drift. I've been wearing MAC eyeliner for a while, and I think it's Maybelline mascara.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. For instance, like if I don't have it that day, it's going to be fully natural. That's what you get straight out the box. So what would you say for people that have allergies? Yeah, like, I mean, I know you guys do like a screening process, you know, like let us know, but what if they're like, because that's kind of like one of my fears too, like I need to get some new pictures done, and I'm like, I know we're educating, I know this stuff, but I'm like, I'll just go as is. And the photographer, I know, she's like, well, you have really good skin, so I can kind of, you know, make it look, but I'm like, but I want that experience. I want the full, you know, hair, makeup, you know, headshot experience. So what would you say to someone who has allergies, you know, that's a bride or a professional, and, you know, how would they handle that? How can they get over their fear?
Yeah, like I think a lot of times from my experience, I've never had anyone, it's because I get brides that have sensitive skin all the time. Number one thing I always ask them is, do they have a makeup that they're using already, like a foundation that they're using already? If they already have something that works for them, and, you know, it gives great coverage or you know, a flawless finish, I always tell them at the trial to bring what they have, bring their foundation. If they have an allergy, you know, if they're allergic to something. But a lot of times I think that a lot of people, it's not really an allergy thing. I think they just kind of turn off with seeing so many bad makeup foundation, like, you know, application, I should say, bad makeup application. So then they think that, oh my God, if I put this on, it's going to break me out. But you have to think about it. When you see other people, you know, with makeup, or this, you know, they have pimples or breakouts, but you have to think about it. Are they taking care of their skin? Because makeup, if you having a reaction to a foundation, it's not going to give you bumps. It's going to give you like a rash, you know, something that looks like a rash. It's not going to give you pimples. What gives you pimples is clogged pores. So if you put the foundation on, you didn't exfoliate your skin after, you didn't take the makeup off right, you just, you know, just wipe it off with a baby wipe or a makeup wipe, and then you went to sleep, you didn't exfoliate and clean the skin, then yeah, that's gonna cause your pores to clog, and that's gonna cause a breakout. So in my honest opinion, I don't think makeup breaks people out. I think it's the way they take care of this, you know, the way that the aftercare when you take the makeup off. Because if someone's gonna get a reaction from a foundation or a makeup, it's not gonna give you a pimple on your forehead or your cheek. It's gonna give you like a rash, like a big, you ever seen like a diaper rash? That's what a reaction is, not like a pimple.
Gotcha. So staying on in that lane, you know, sometimes, and I've heard it actually, like from some of my brides, they have done like a trial, and they're like, oh my gosh, my makeup looks so good, I stayed in it for 3 days.
Oh gosh.
And I go,
3 days?
Yeah. What is your, I mean, because I know sometimes I'm guilty, especially like if I have a long night of editing and I know I don't wear a lot of makeup, but eyeliner is still makeup. I can fall asleep with my eyeliner on, but I know for me, like personally, it starts to actually get on my contacts, and then I have to get rid of my contacts because it's seeping in, you know, somehow through the pores, it seeps in, and then I have like this ring around my contact that's just from eyeliner.
Oh gosh.
So what is your advice as far as like, you know, post wedding, you know, should they, you know, is it safe to wait a day? Because maybe they're going on their honeymoon and they want that nice cruise selfie that's like, oh, you know, and then they take the makeup off because they're going to go swimming or whatever. So what's your advice as far as like when you should really take it off.
Dog, he's so cute.
When you should really take it off, you know, etc.
I do not advise anyone to sleep with their makeup on. I've had clients that love it so much and they keep it on and they're like, Erwin, no, see, you know how to do it, you know, like that on your own. I don't. So I'm gonna enjoy this makeover. Like you can't. It doesn't take anything but, you know, some wipes, some makeup wipes, you know, you have to take it off because when you sleep throughout the night, you have this thing called your sebaceous gland. Your sebaceous gland is the oil that pumps into the skin. So when you sleep, everything works differently while you're sleeping. So your sebaceous gland are, you know, full and they're producing extra oil. So with extra oil that clogs the pores and then that's going to cause a breakout. You have to clean your skin. I would never, like, I don't sleep in my makeup. I would never advise anyone to sleep in the makeup. Just use, you know, a wipe it off, wash your face. I know, but take as much selfies as you want before you wash it up, but you have to wash it off.
So the next question is, and we're gonna do also, that's why I'm looking away from the camera, guys. I want to pull up an example. So I'm loading folders. Erwin should be able to see an image. And what I'm showing may or may not be, hold on, where is it? There we go. What I'm showing may or may not be Erwin's work. But what I want to do is, there are different skin tones out there. We have, you know, like my skin, which I consider, you know, medium tone, even though people say I'm fair skin. You have, you know, Erwin's skin tone, which is, you know, I guess, like medium to warm?
Yeah, warm. You're like, cool. You have a cool undertone.
Okay, see, I don't know none of that. You have people that are closer to Erwin's skin tone. You'll have people who are more fair skinned, like the bride we just did together. So I wanted to ask your opinion, not on the makeup itself, but I'm trying to find the one with the finished look, which is right here. Here we go. So I'm actually going to share my screen and we're going to open this preview. And so what I'm going to do, you guys may not have seen that pop up. Hopefully you didn't. I'm going to share my screen and, okay, share screen. You should see an image of a bride here. She's actually my signature bride, which means like every year I kind of choose a bride to like highlight and you know, feel special under Unashamed Imaging. So, and her wedding went viral, like it's been everywhere, published in multiple platforms. So, but one thing about this image, and I want to say it in the most respectful way I can, is I've had brides of multicultural, probably the best way to say it, who were like, this is such a beautiful image. And some were fair skinned, some were closer to my skin tone, some were, you know, some were closer to her. So what would you recommend for brides of color, which I like to call BOC?
BOC, that's cute. I like
what colors would you recommend for them to like really pop?
For to be honest, with her skin tone, there's nothing she can't do, to be honest. And I would definitely recommend some on her lid, which I think she has already. Like,
yeah, it might be far away. I can zoom in.
Yeah, I think she has some gold, like some bronze, anything bronze or gold on her lid is gonna be really pretty.
Yeah.
Of course, some amazing shimmer highlight because she needs that glow. With her skin tone, that glow is gonna be real. Some glow, and then on her lips she can do nude, she can do a beautiful soft pink, she can even do a red lip and just take it up a notch. That's this look right here is like a everyday a beautiful, you know, bridal makeup, like a bridal. This is what I call a natural glam. Like, see her skin tone and The foundation matched from her face down to her neck. Everything is perfect. Her eyebrows is awesome. Yeah, this is like, I see why he chose her as a signature bride. She looks beautiful. The makeup executed very well. A bride of this color definitely want to do, if she has, especially if she has like a light brown eyes or like hazel eyes, she definitely want to do some smudging with like some plum on her eyes, under her eyes, like the smudge some eyeshadow or even a plum eyeliner on her eyes. It's gonna really accentuate the eyes. And her highlight definitely needs to be, sometimes we think, a lot of makeup artists tend to do, because if the bride is fair skinned, they go even lighter with the highlight, with the concealer. But with someone that's fair skinned like that, she can look washed out. So you want to make sure that the concealer that you're using, you're mixing a cool concealer, cool undertone, with a little bit of warm. So that way she's not too dark, and she's not too light. And you definitely want to do some nice shimmer highlight on her, on the high planes of the cheeks. And I would do like a soft, pretty nude lip on her, because a red lip sometimes can be too overwhelming on fair skin, unless if that's what they're going for.
So what are your thoughts on like applying makeup to, your arms or your legs, like she did in her case, because she wanted to have like an overall, like,
like a leg shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had brides that have tattoos that they want to tattoo cover up, and that's fine. You just want to make sure that you let the makeup artist know ahead of time, because the same makeup that you apply to the skin, to your face, it's not the same makeup that you apply on the skin if you want to cover a scar on your back or tattoos, because tattoo makeup, they're going to be waterproof and like smudge proof, and they don't transfer. But if you don't tell the makeup artist that ahead of time, she might not know what to bring.
That's good.
And she might end up using regular makeup on your regular makeup on the tattoo or the scar, and then it's going to transfer. Like, if you have to think about it, if you're hugging people, which I'm sure you are, it's your wedding day, the makeup is, if you have it on your back or your chest, is going to transfer to somebody else's clothes. And for the picture, like you showed me her legs, the makeup might get on the dress. So I know there's a brand called Dermablend. Dermablend, they have a line that, that's for tattoos and like scars and stuff, and it doesn't smudge, and it covers really, really good. So the bride, it's, they can even go, I think they have it at Sephora, they can even sell too, if they, if it's something minor that they want to do,
right,
if they want to cover.
That's good. Okay, so we're coming to a close. I think Erwin gave us some like valuable, definitely useful information.
That was fun.
So our last question is, and we're asking this of all the speakers, because we, like I said, the event is primarily promoted to couples and brides, but we do have some actual wedding professionals who have signed up. They may be experienced and they want to know more about the other aspects, of vendor responsibility, or they may be novice, which means they're new and they're like, well, how important is this and that? So we have some questions that are tailored, like I said, to professionals. Some are more tailored to the couple, and then some are both. So one question that we're asking all the speakers is, what advice do you have for wedding professionals that work with a makeup artist day of wedding?
I definitely, my advice is, if the bride have a wedding planner, you definitely want to give, the wedding planner should have all the vendors' information, as far as, because the bride really shouldn't be calling, the bride, the makeup artist, are you here yet? And, asking questions that doesn't even have anything to do with, like, that's the planner's responsibility to get in touch with the vendors if the bride have any concerns or anything, especially on the day of. And also, photographers, my advice to them is to, which I don't have that issue with you, but a lot of times photographers, I don't know if the bride don't give him the schedule of when the makeup artist is going to be there. Sometimes the bride have to have, I've been to weddings where my finish time is done, and then the photographer never arrives, so the bride doesn't have any pictures or professional pictures of her getting her makeup done, which is part of the getting ready process. I think that's very important for the bride to have pictures of videos of the getting ready process.
Yeah.
A lot of times the bride's friend are with their cell phone, you know, recording or taking pictures. I think the bride should definitely, you know, have the time, especially if, you know, not even for the whole bridal party, you know, to take pictures of the whole bridal party getting their makeup done, but at least the bride, like towards the end when the bride starts to get her makeup done, I think the photographer and the videographer should be arriving. That way they can get a couple of shots of the bride getting them, you know, her makeup done.
Yeah, that's good. Coordinate the timeline. I know a lot of, like, I talked to, like, another reason why I wanted to do the bride series now is some people may say like it's a little close, but wedding season is starting, so people can take information and oh, I didn't know that or whatever. But a lot of times when I talk to brides that, you know, inquire or actually at this point, if we're doing their wedding timeline, they're already booked. They're like, they don't understand why 8 hours is better for you than 5 hours coverage, you know,
right.
for what we do. Because they want that pre-ceremony, but then you lose the time on the back end, you know. So I definitely agree. And a lot of times, even this is more so for like a wedding professional, but if you're interested in getting like published, they want to see the makeup process. They want to see those little details, like, believe it or not, you know, and they want to see like that close-up makeup shot that I showed of one of the brides. I was asking Erwin some makeup color advice. They want to see that. Not only that, you also, I know for me it's happened with a few vendors. I don't even know. Well, I know how I first met you, but I was trying to think how did I first meet you. But another good thing with being there when the makeup artist is doing the makeup, and it doesn't have, like I tell my brides, it does not have to be at the very first, because even myself, I started out that way. Like I started capturing them when you guys were doing like the concealer level.
Yeah, and it looks crazy.
You don't want that. Like you know, not because it's not blended. It's like but like before you buy your car is a piece of plastic, has no color, you know, has nothing. You wouldn't buy it because it wouldn't be attractive to you. So kind of look at it that way. But so what I do now with my brides is I tell them, you know, what time are you scheduled? You know, so hypothetically, let's say your makeup artist is supposed to come at 2:30 for you. So all your girls are done and you start at 2:30. Most professionals that do weddings, they can get a face done at least 30 to 45 minutes. So I tell that bride, have us come somewhere in between there so that we're capturing either midpoint to end or honestly towards the end, because it only takes 2 seconds to have the makeup artist, you know, if you need to hold the brush, you know, a certain way. But the face is already done and the bride, you know, they love it, you know what I mean? They're going to be in the moment, so it just makes it better. But also, you can also capture images of the makeup artist that you can send them, and, you know, if they like you, they may add you as a referral, or use the photo as their profile picture, and someone might say, oh, that's a nice photo. Well, who took that? Oh, so-and-so took that. And you it's like a chain that you didn't even see, you know, happening. So
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's my advice for the, you know, professionals out there. So we're pretty much at the end, and Erwin, we just wanted to give you the opportunity, if you had any products. I know you have a makeup bag.
Yeah.
So if you want to share about that, we'll also put the information on the website, and we'll link you to her site so you can find out more.
Yes, I do have a cosmetic bag line that's out. That's on my website at erwinartistry.com. And I'm launching my skincare line soon. So the first product from my skincare line should be launched by next week. Hopefully, I'm praying by the time I come back from vacation. That'll also be on my website, erwinartistry.com. And also I'm gonna post it, you know, when I launch, I'm definitely gonna post it on my social media, which is Erwin Artistry. So stay tuned for that, and I'm excited.
Do you still have your DVD program, or are you doing like a new?
Yes, I do have that DVD also. It's on my website, on the store page on my website, for sale. Right now, I have it I have it on sale for $10 actually.
Okay,
at the
guys,
yeah.
hello.
So it's a good time to get it, and it teaches you how to do your everyday natural soft glam makeup step by step. So if you've ever wanted to know how to do your makeup, how do I do my eyebrows, how do I put lashes on, and how do I highlight and contour, all of that, you can learn all of that on the DVD.
And that would be good for someone who, you know, maybe isn't a professional, or even like a professional. I'm a natural, so but someone who likes to wear makeup, you know, and they're a professional in the wedding industry. If you get that DVD, you can study and learn how to, you know, maybe enhance your look a little bit. Not that you need.
It's always there. You can always pop it in, rewind, fast forward, so until you get it.
Cool. All right, Erwin. Well, it was a pleasure having you. Thank you for participating in this. Like I said, guys, I will, her link to Instagram is already on the website. Like I said, if you go to the bottom, find Erwin Artist. Say that 5 times fast. You'll be able to get to her stuff, but we'll also, on the resource section, we will also add, she says she has the DVD and the skincare line coming out and the cosmetic bag. I've seen the cosmetic bags are really cute. I even personally think that, like, maybe you're not a big maker. Like I said, I'm a Carmex and an eyeliner girl, but you can get the cosmetic bag and it keeps your purse a little bit neater. So maybe you put
oh yeah, I even use it, like I put my baby's diapers, wipes. I mean,
do you have
clients use it for their you know, as traveling for toiletries and stuff. And yeah, you don't necessarily have to do it for makeup. You can use it for whatever you want.
Cool. Do you happen to have one with you?
I have mine right here.
Oh,
I keep with all my stuff in here. Pray and slay.
But you can see it's pretty big, and she says she has
huge. My big wallet is in here.
Oh, so there you go, ladies. You already know.
Huge. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to go to the next speaker in the module. But once again, like I said, thank you, Erwin, for being a part of this, and we'll have all her information on the website. So
thanks so much for having me, girl. This was so much fun. And yes, you're on my website as well as a preferred vendor. So if you go to my website, you will see Anesha.
She's on things too. But see, guys, that's what I mean. You meet people, and you know, whoever you connect with, that's how it's supposed to be. Keep moving.
Exactly.
All right, guys. So we're going to prepare for the next speaker. If you need to, we're gonna do like a little bit of a break. So if you need to get anything, we'll be right back.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome, awesome. So tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, your why, and if you have any like awards or anything that you earned.
Absolutely. So thanks again for the opportunity. Super excited to be here. Again, I'm Elle Baez, Captured by Elle Photo and Video out of Orlando, Florida. I've been in business for 3 years. We do wedding photography and videography. Of course, we also do engagements with that. And I do shoot boudoir as well on the side. As far as awards, internationally published, I do have Wedding Wire Couples Choice Awards the last 2 years in a row. Nothing major, and my why. So before I actually started photography, I actually used to be in corporate banking. And it's funny because I was looking to make a career change. I had no idea what I was going to do. I had never picked up a camera before that. But what I really wanted kind of in my soul searching was I wanted a job where I could connect with people, where I could build really deep relationships. And I wanted to somehow make a difference. I always wanted to make a difference in the world. But I wasn't sure how I was going to do either of those things. So it's kind of funny when I ended up quitting my job, one thing kind of led to another, and I found wedding photography, and it allows me to do those things that I wanted to do so badly. I get to connect with my couples. I get to build deep relationships with them. I get to connect with vendors like you, Anesha, and some other awesome vendors, and build deep relationships with them, and help them and help other small businesses, help clients. And I do feel like I get to make a difference. I get to be there on the most important day of their lives. So luckily everything kind of fell into place, and I was able to do those things. So that's really why I love what I do. And that's the driving force behind what I do.
All right. Awesome. It's amazing having awards from Wedding Wire and then being published internationally. And that's like, a lot of people seek that. So that's really, and in only 3 years, and you've done that much already in 3 years. That's amazing. So how can people find you?
So I'm on social media everywhere as Captured by Elle Photo, and online it's www.capturedbyelle.com.
Awesome. Okay, so guys, as I mentioned with the other segments of the module, there's just some house rules. One, we're on a digital platform. Things can get a little screwy. You can have a bad signal. It can be laggy or whatnot. So if you experience any of those things, just refresh your browser and you'll just come back in. You might be a little bit behind depending on how your internet works, but you'll be able to catch up. The next thing is I'm reading questions on my dual screen. So if you see me looking that way, that's why I'm not like, Belle's boring me. It's not that. And then also if I'm looking down, I'm really pulling keynotes for you guys to help you guys out later on. So that's pretty much what I'm doing in my little circle here while she's talking. All right, so first question. How important is it to find a professional photographer for your wedding day versus not finding one?
So obviously, everyone's going to tell you, all you have left after your wedding day is the photographic memories. I mean, I think we all know that. That's why people are looking to hire a photographer in the first place. I think hiring a professional photographer is different for so many reasons. Just to think of a few, I mean, a professional photographer, first of all, is going to show up on time. They're going to keep the day running smoothly. Especially when I was starting out, I worked with a lot of different photographers, so I actually have experience with how different people do it. I have seen photographers derail entire wedding days to where certain portrait segments had to be cut out, or maybe they couldn't do bridal party portraits because they just weren't timely. And it is unfortunate, and it's one of those things, it's kind of hard to anticipate. But when you're dealing with a professional, especially that has wedding experience, you're going to find that they keep the flow of the day going. They help keep your timeline so that you can capture all those important moments. If you wanted to go out and do portraits at the park, we have to make sure that everything is on time so we can do that for you and you can have that vision come to life. Professional photographers also have experience working with other vendors. So oftentimes you'll find a professional wedding photographer will go in, they will know the wedding planner, they will know the florist, they'll know the videographer if there's another videographer, and they all are working together as one team. And again, that comes with experience and being a professional just in the wedding industry as a whole. So that collaborative atmosphere really helps the day to go more smoothly. A professional photographer will help with things like posing. It's even as you're getting into it, anyone can kind of, buy a camera and learn how to work a camera and how to press the button. It's really not that hard at the end of the day. But a professional is going to help you with things like posing, staging, what backdrop, where are we going to position you to get the most beautiful photos to capture you in the most flattering light. So more than just hiring a photographer, which is on everybody's wedding to-do list, hiring a professional wedding photographer with experience is absolutely crucial to the flow of your entire day. And we're with you all day. So there's a lot of things that we impact there as a photographer.
Yeah, that's good, because my next question was actually, how do you really know, and you started to get into it, but how do you really know that someone is professional when nowadays anyone can go to Best Buy or wherever and get a DSLR and then, oh, I'm a professional. Even myself, I haven't been shooting weddings as long as I've been a shooter in general, as far as a photographer or cinematographer, but as the years go by, I see people who last year weren't even touching a camera, and now they're they have one and they're running a business. I mean, if they're running it professionally, kudos to them. Like, that's great. But there also is a flood of people who just have a DSLR and it's like, oh, I'm pro, and and it's kind of diluting the professional definition, or the definition behind, I should say, a professional photographer or cinematographer. And it kind of makes it harder for the professional. For example, you have certain standards that you follow. You have certain, that it takes a certain amount of time to do a portrait session or the wedding party session. So if they're used to non-professional, photographers, they're going to get frustrated with you, because they're like, well, wait a minute, why does it have to be this way when, or we also have the selfie generation, which is instant. Take an instant picture and we're done and that's good. It's like, no, I know what I need to do to get what I need to get, because I'm the professional. So that's good that we were able to hone in and kind of answer one of the other questions that I had. So that's awesome. So how do you choose a wedding photographer? Like, do you just Google search wedding photographer in Central Florida, and the first one that pops up, unless it's you, and then, the first one that pops up, you're like, yep, that's it. Like, how do you choose? Talk about that from the professional aspect.
So like you mentioned, I mean, the market is super saturated. Pretty much anyone can call themselves a photographer at this point. Unfortunately, I almost wish there was some sort of certification, like a doctor has to go to school, they have to get certain years, they have to become certified through certain standards. And I feel like photographers should have to do that as well. So hopefully that will change, because it'll make things a lot easier for couples that are looking for wedding professionals. But as far as finding a photographer, it's just really important that you do your due diligence. I have couples that will tell me, I stalked you. And I'm like, good for you. Like, please stalk your wedding professionals, look them up on all of their social media outlets. Scroll back through their Instagram posts, take a look at where they're shooting, what kind of vendors are they working with? Do they have those vendor relationships? Take a look through their Facebook feeds, look up their personal pages on Facebook, do they have a professional profile pic? I mean, that might sound kind of funny, but I'm a professional photographer. Why should I have a cell phone pic on my Facebook page? Little things like that. Look for some of those clues. Look for how you could contact them. Do they have contact information? Do they have an address? Maybe they have a studio. A lot of professional photographers don't have a studio. That's okay too, but a lot of times they will have a mailing address, some way that you can reach them, make sure they're not going to take your money and run kind of thing. So look through their reviews as well. Wedding Wire and The Knot are very popular for reviews. Facebook, people can leave reviews. I'm a little hesitant on Facebook sometimes, just because, like my mom totally has left me a 5-star review on Facebook. Like, she thumbs up all of my stuff. I appreciate that. but Wedding Wire and The Knot do validate their reviews. So just do your due diligence, research. Ask other vendors for recommendations. Ask your friends for recommendations. And once you have determined that the people that you're interested in are professionals, they do have insurance, they're running a legal business, what I always tell my couples is look at the style, look through the portfolio. Does the style speak to you? Is it what you want in your photos? Are you more into like film photography, dark and moody? Do you like the really light and airy? Just look at the quality of the work and find what you enjoy. Once you've narrowed that down, then just really get to know the photographer. We're going to be there with you probably longer than you're going to be with your new spouse. I'm there with you from the time that you're getting ready. I see you before they see you. So, you know, once you have a good list of maybe 3, 4, 5 photographers that you absolutely love their work, you love their style, make your decision based on them. Make sure it's somebody that you connect with, somebody that you can relate to, that can come in that day and just blend seamlessly. I like to consider myself part of the bridal party because I want to blend with all of them. I want to be able to joke with your girls. I want to be able to talk to mom. I want to be able to connect with grandma. I just want to be an extension of your bridal party, and that way people feel comfortable. They feel like I'm blending in, and it's helping to create the most seamless and the best experience overall for you.
Those are a lot of great, like I'm sitting here, like those are a lot of great nuggets. And I want to kind of stay a little bit in that area. I get about looking at reviews. I mean, we as professionals, when we're buying products, you know, we're looking at reviews. So that part is kind of self-explanatory. Looking at the portfolio is also self-explanatory to an extent that I have had some questions. Well, you know, what if they post like a lot of styled shoots? Can you really judge their skills off a style shoot versus a wedding? I think that, just from my perspective, you should look at both. If they have style shoots, try to see if there's real weddings, because you can kind of tell the energy is slightly different. Style shoots are almost like perfection versus a wedding has a slight, like you can tell it's more candid. So that, you know, that's a good way to determine like, okay, well, there's style shoots, but I personally say if they have nothing but style shoots, which I have been seeing lately, that might not be a good indication to book them, because they don't really have evidence of I can handle it on a wedding day. Doesn't mean it can't. It just maybe you might want to do a little bit more research. You may want to ask around or ask them, have you shot any weddings? And maybe they're not on their website, and then they can link you to, you know, a gallery or something. But I want to hone in on, you mentioned looking at their personal pages, which no one said before. Why is that? Why should that, or could that be an indication of a client or couple or bride or, you know, hiring you?
I think it really depends on the couple and what they want from their photographer. There are some people that really just want somebody to show up with the camera and take some pictures. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. As far as the way that I brand myself, I'm looking for people that I can have a personal connection with. And if that's important to you as a bride, you have to know. Maybe, you know, you go onto their Facebook page and you see that they're watching, you know, they posted that they're watching Netflix, and you're like, oh my God, I love that show. It's just the simplest things that help you connect with people. Yeah. You know, maybe they just posted that they're at their Orlando City soccer game, and you're like, I was at the Orlando City soccer game. Or on that note, maybe they're posting things that are really just, they don't vibe with you. Maybe their page is filled with like nasty political rants, and you're like, okay, I don't want anything to do with that. It's not about being judgmental or, you know, making those snap judgments. It's just about finding ways that you connect. Yeah. To me, I want to be friends with my couples. I make that very clear throughout my brand messaging. I tell people I treat my clients like friends. And that is really important to me. So if that's something that is important to you, then it makes sense to kind of qualify them and look at them and think, could I be friends with this person? Could I hang out with them for 8, 9, 10 hours on the most important day of my life?
That's good. That's good. Because I know, like, Elle, I've worked with Elle, so I can, speak on, this is her, like, this is not for the Bride series, like, her character. But, if we compare, because I talked about this in another segment with another speaker, but if you compare, because the funny thing is the third module is the right fit, but everyone is mentioning in their own segments, you have to have the right fit with, whatever they're doing. And it's true, like, I'm a more type A, I wouldn't say militant, but I do have a more like, because that's just how I was a part of JROTC. So it was instilled in me very young. Elle she's very organized herself, but she's got a little bit of personality difference where she's more like out there, silly, like even in her branding, she mentions, I'm that, kick A, or, you know what I mean? Like the photographer that, you know what I mean? Like that's her. And some people might go,
oh yeah. Some people are going to be so turned off by that.
And people,
that's fine.
Right. And then some people like,
and some people are like, sign me up.
Yes. And that, like she said, that's good because, you might have, for instance, a bride that is constantly worried and might even have like anxiety. She might benefit from someone like me who's a little bit anal organized because they're like, okay, I know she's got it. I don't have to worry. Where a bride that likes to have, extra fun. Not that I don't have fun. That's not what I'm trying to say. But, a bride that likes to have a lot of fun and doesn't mind being silly.
I do make some inappropriate jokes from time to time. Yeah. So yes.
But that's her. And that will make, if you get that nice shot and that couple just remembers, oh, do you remember when Elle said blah, 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 whatever? You know what I mean? Somebody like me making a joke like Elle in a moment, people might go, that's where for her it fits. So, and not saying that my, like even when we were taking, like on my banner, we were taking this picture, we were all totally joking. Like it was jokes and laughs, but you don't know that that's how it came about. But we weren't like slap your belly laughing. It was just, like, hey, get in her face, tell her how much, what you're going to do later. Like stuff like that. And then you get those moments. But I can't be extra, like, it's not me. It would be so fake. I would feel awkward, like what you just said.
Right.
So that's a good example of, looking at their personal page and see. I also think, because like I was telling other people, other speakers, we do have some wedding professionals that are also attending. So I think people will also, take this as note, like I need to be mindful of what I'm posting, what I'm sharing. And don't take it as you can't be yourself, but you are still running a business. You are part of your brand. You may be the end part, the middle part, but you're still a part of it. So that's really good. So let's go to the next question. And that is, how can a bride choose wisely when selecting a photographer if there's a videographer from another company shooting her wedding? I know that's something.
So it's funny because as I have consultations with my clients, obviously I do offer photography and videography, but like you, a lot of times I will just be doing the photo. A lot of times I will just be doing the video. So there are situations where we have to work with other companies. And I tell them, you would be surprised how weird it can get sometimes between photographers and videographers. And it's something that you don't really think about until you're kind of in there and you're doing it and you're like, but it is a crucial partnership. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that, but when you think about it, we're literally capturing the same exact things. I'm doing a picture of the dress, the cinematographer, videographer is going to want to get a shot of the dress. The bride getting ready, the first look. I mean, we're literally shooting everything simultaneously and alongside each other. So having a good partnership is super, super important. Being a photographer, I've had videographers that will park themselves like right in the front of the aisle and they're standing right next to the couple and the couple's here and the videographer's there and you're like, oh, well, I don't have a shot. And then being a videographer, I've had people that will walk in front of the camera constantly and I'm like, how am I going to edit this? I got to cut them out of it. So it really goes both ways. What I recommend, obviously if it's an option and if you find people where you like their style, both photo and video, then do consider hiring a company that does both. If not, and you're looking to split it up and potentially hire 2 different companies, ask for recommendations. So if you already have a photographer, I can guarantee you they have a list of videographers that they absolutely love to work with. They probably also have a naughty list of people that they don't like to work with based on their experience. So ask them for recommendations, or vice versa. If you already have a videographer, ask them for recommendations on photographers. Also, if you have a wedding planner or wedding coordinator, ask them. I mean, they're overseeing the entire day. They take care of all the vendors, and they know, they're privy to what's going on between those partnerships. And also just ask your videographer or your photographer, whomever it is that you're hiring, how they work with the latter. So if you're talking to a photographer, if you're talking to a videographer and you already have your photographer, ask them, how do you work with a photographer specifically? What are some ways that you partner up? How do you capture the day when there's a photographer? And look for them to tell you that they are conscious of each other, that they do work together, that they set up shots together, that they plan it out. Look for them to give you some really specific examples of how they demonstrate the teamwork and how they collaborate. And that's how you'll be able to kind of mitigate any issues that could come up on the wedding day.
That's really good, because I know for myself, when I get inquiries, and some, you always hear like a weird, awkward, like, I have a question, and you're like, okay, well, what is it? Like the Jeopardy music comes on, and they're like, so my videographer, we'll just use Elle, is captured by, our photo and plus video, and so how do you like them? Like, they'll just come, then they'll come out, and it's like, honestly, if you work with them, like if someone told me, it was Elle, I'd be like, oh, like, yes, can we start your wedding today? Like, it'd be over. Right. But then there are some vendors that it's like, your brain automatically goes, okay, I know how I have to position myself, because you want the couple to be happy. You don't want to, I don't believe that you should blatantly say, oh no, you need to pick another, unless like they've done something that's like ridiculously out of this world, like horrible, and you do not want your couple's experience that. But you have to be professional enough to get through the day. But you have to set your tone and know, how that person's going to be, and, you work through it. And also, you have a job to do. So, of course, during the ceremony, you wouldn't be like, hey, videographer, move out the way. But, if you're doing the portrait, like I know a lot of times when I'm doing the portrait session, the videographer, they want those one-on-one, shots as well with the couple. So I tell them, listen, if I'm in your way, tell me, number two, you need to get the shot, verbalize, hey, after this shot, guys, we're going to do, I do that with my own company, especially when they hire. I tell the couple, we have to do this twice. And I know, like, some people, you actually do that? Yes, because you can sometimes get it in the moment when the photo's being taken, but why not get it, I wouldn't say perfect, as I was saying, but why not get it in the best way, by redoing it? And the couple, they're in the moment. They like being photographed. They're happy. So keep them moving. As long as they're not standing still, like they're posed like that, and it's like, okay, what do we do next? Then they're going to be annoyed. But if you're keeping them moving, and at the end of the day, your goal is to give them the best, of whatever it is, photo or video, whatever side you're on, in this case, they're not gonna get frustrated with you. Like I've done couples in the rain, and it's like, hey, just my hair is all froed out now, but they have the umbrella and they love it, but at the end of the day, it's like I did what I had to do to get that shot. So that's really, really good about how they can select and then what they can look at it, as far as working with two companies that are shooting their wedding day. So the next question is, and I'm not sure if you're big on this, but I think you can hone in. Why is natural light being desired more by a lot of wedding photographers now?
Natural light is huge. I always tell people we're not photographers, we are capturers of light. That's what we're doing at the end of the day. We're seeing the light, we're capturing the light. My daughter jokes with me. She's like, I'm going to get you a t-shirt, mommy, that says, I see the light. And it's because I will literally be at the grocery store and I can see beautiful light. Even in movies, I'll be watching, I'm sure you do this too, Anesha, you watch a TV show and you're like, man, that lighting, it's beautiful.
Or it's like, yeah.
Right. Or it's like, oh, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
Even the way that I have positioned myself for this shoot, there's a hair light right here. It is very intentional.
Yeah.
Lighting is everything, and a good photographer knows how to see light. They know how to use light to create a mood, to create a feeling. So natural light is absolutely crucial. At the same time with weddings, I mean, sometimes we can't control it. Like you mentioned earlier, rain. Sometimes we have dimly lit ceremonies. We have dimly lit churches. We have crazy lighting in hotel rooms sometimes. So as a professional photographer, kind of going back to that, it's our job to educate the client. When my client's getting ready in a dimly lit hotel room, the first thing I do, I go in there, I turn off all the lamps, and I open up the windows. And then somebody wants to come in and turn on the lights to help me out. Like one of the bridesmaids, like, you mean turn on the light? No, I don't want you to turn on the light. I'm working the natural light here. And that's what a professional photographer knows how to do. We know how to see the light, control the light. And in some cases, we know how to create it. If you're getting married in a complete black room, some reception rooms are black ceiling, black floor, black everything. Very cool, very modern, very hard to light. So we have to know how to create that light too, so that it does look natural. So it's a huge, huge part in the feeling and the mood and just the quality of your overall photos.
That's really, really good feedback. But I recently did a small segment on, well, it was like 30 minutes. I don't know if that's really small, but whatever. On the focus tour on winning wedding photography with natural light. And in the beginning, I wasn't a natural light shooter. I was definitely flash because it was like, well, you have to have a flash. Your cell phone has a flash. So, and that's lack of knowledge, didn't know. And I was not, real new to it at the time. But there's this rumor that photographers who shoot in natural light don't know how to use flash, or they don't know what they're doing. And aside from teaching, that was also what I brought to the tour. And I got a lot of messages like, thank you so much, because I personally believe, I mean, even with my, like what Elle was saying, how she purposefully set herself up, even here, like I have light, but I also, my shades, one of my shades is like a diffuser. If I hold this, like, I don't even know if it'll, like, you see the difference? Like, you don't want a picture with like sunspots on your face. So it's the same curtain. I'm not doing anything other than having the curtain over it. Put it back where I had it. But those things are needed. So I slightly believe that shooting in natural light is harder because you have to manipulate a lot. You have to, and especially like it's, with the time that it is now, the sun is changing and the sun is moving every second. We don't see it verbatim because we're not staring at it as it's going, down, but we have to be able to use that light in the best way. And some people don't understand. And when I say people, I'm talking now photographers and cinematographers. They don't understand how to use natural light so that you get a beautiful image, or you get, beautiful cinematography or videography. So a lot of people just go straight for the flash. And, my whole premise was, I shot a wedding, and in the focus tour, I showed an image side by side. One was natural light, one was with the flash. Same wedding, same bride, and both images were beautiful. So it's like it's becoming more normal. So for the brides and couples out there, if your photographer gives you advice, I know I do it on my wedding timeline. Please have your makeup artist set up by a window. It's not because we're just being so anal and we have to control everything. It's because we know how your pictures are going to look by that window versus your back being turned, or even the room light. Sometimes room lights, like there's a hotel out here that the room lights they have, they're always this nasty yellow. Like no matter how many weddings I shoot, and it's like, why are they're not even like bright white. They're this nasty yellow. So I shut them off, like you said, and I use the window light and it's such a huge difference. You can color correct in post, but that's more time. Then you get to later. All of this is intentional. So that's good that you honed in on why natural light is becoming more desired and more common. So what are some questions, like if you give maybe three questions that every couple should ask their wedding photographer?
So I know there's a lot of like what to ask your wedding photographer list, especially on like the knot.com and things like that. I don't have a problem with those, but I have had clients come into the consultation literally with pages and pages. and it kind of turns into an interview. I really recommend that couples, you can ask some of the technical stuff later, even in the email. You know, I'm happy to answer questions like, what do I bring for backup equipment? And do I have insurance? But those technical questions, I subscribe to the philosophy, again, of getting to know people on a personal level. Save the technical questions for another time. Take your time to ask, when you're meeting with your photographer, questions that matter to you. So I say prioritize what is the most important to you for your wedding day, and make sure that those are the questions that you ask. And that's going to be different for everyone. If you are concerned about rain on your wedding day, with being in Central Florida especially, we deal with that a lot. If you have weather concerns based on the time you're getting married, ask your photographer that. How do you deal with a rain on a wedding day? What will you do if it's raining while we're doing our portraits? How will you handle that? Tell me a time where you've handled that, so that they can actually talk you through those scenarios. Have them show you a gallery from a rainy wedding day. If your priority is more about your guests and your friends and family having fun, ask them, how do you interact with, how will you interact with the guests? How will you capture those moments that are so important to me? I also have couples sometimes that have unusual family dynamics, and in the back of their mind, they're a little bit concerned that that could become an issue on the wedding day. Maybe their parents are separated, or maybe there's just some uncomfortable family dynamics that they're worried about. Ask your photographer, how do you deal with that? This is what's going on in my family. Have you dealt with that before? How do you handle situations like that? So I can't give you a list of 3 specific, but what I would say is, think about your top 3 priorities. When you think about your wedding day, dig a little deeper. Think about what are your fears? What are your concerns, especially when it comes to your photography, but just overall. And then talk to your photographer about that. Have them explain to you their prior experiences, how they've dealt with that in the past, what specifically that they can do to help ease your mind in that sense. And, you know, save the technical stuff for later. Anybody's going to tell you that they have backup equipment. Even if they don't, they're going to say yes. It's a valid question.
Yeah.
But those are the questions, you know, that dig a little bit deeper. That's really what's going to make a difference. And that's what's going to allow you to differentiate between different photographers, especially if you're on the fence. So that would be my advice when looking at what questions to ask.
Those are good. So we're actually towards the latter portion of your segment, because, you know, like I was telling everybody, we all run businesses. So, you know, we don't want to hold them up all day long for the Bride series, but these segments have been really good, full of a lot of meat, good advice for you guys. So one thing that I noticed about Elle was she's really, really good at capturing candid photos. Not that she's not good at all the other aspects, but candids can be hard, because some people look at candids as just like, oh, she just happened to luckily snap and she's got a great photo. I still believe that candids, there's some thought process behind it as well. You know, and like, I don't mind sharing it because I already did publicly, but like some of my most published photos are candid images. And I think it's because the couple is seen natural. You know, sometimes even as much as you tell them, put your shoulder down, or, you know, we're human, and most people aren't used to being in front of a camera. So they're like, okay, well, a little bit more. And then you're like, you know, so I'm just being extra. But I would like for you to talk about some ways that couples can either participate in helping to capture candid images, and if you could hone in on a professional level, like what can a professional do to help foster that?
Mm-hmm. So candid images are huge for me. I describe my style as very candid and romantic. So it's something that it's taken me some time to learn it. Surprisingly enough, it's not as easy as you think as a photographer. And I think that there is a misconception that a photographer that's just a fly on the wall and is kind of standing back will capture the best candid moments. And it's not necessarily true. A lot of times it does have to do with when you snap the camera. I've been doing this long enough that surprisingly, it's almost like I'm like telepathic. I can tell when something's going to happen. I can tell when somebody's going to shed a tear. I can tell when they're going to bust out laughing. And I do wait for and anticipate those moments. That just comes with experience in shooting so many hundreds of weddings that I've done at this point. So that is a big part of it. But another huge part of it, it goes back to choosing a photographer that makes you feel comfortable. I joked earlier that I like to be part of the bridal party, but the bride feels so comfortable around her girls, around her bridesmaids, around her family. If you can blend in with that, she's not going to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm being photographed. She's going to let loose, and that will allow some of those candid moments to shine through. Also just creating a comfortable environment for your guests as well, whereas they can, not have to worry about what the photographer is doing. A lot of times it will also come down to gear selection. So sometimes I tell people, like, I like to spy on you. And really what that means is I'm just going to put on a really, really long lens to where I could stand in the corner of the room and you won't see me photographing you. A lot of times my couples get back to gallery and they're like, I had no idea you were shooting that. And it's because I am being unobtrusive. I'm using gear that will allow me to step back and see the moments as they unfold. And then when it comes to portraits, it has a lot to do with posing. Like Anesha mentioned in that photograph, she kind of directed them through it and whisper something sexy in her ear, or, show her how much you love her and give her a little spin. And all these kind of prompts and directions that you're getting from a professional is allowing those moments to happen. Otherwise, you're literally just standing there like, what am I doing? Do I look okay? Is my hair all right? You're feeling really self-conscious. Whereas if we can direct you into actions and natural poses, then we can really capture that emotion that is special. If I tell you guys to do googly eyes at each other, everybody's going to do that differently. I tell my couples, give me a nose nuzzle, or, tell her, whisper in her ear, tell her what you want for dinner tonight and make her laugh. And they always bust out laughing. It's ridiculous. I had one guy that said bacon. He whispered bacon in her ear. And it was their favorite photo, and they called it the bacon photo.
That's so cute.
Yeah. And it was so candid. It was so cute. The reaction was great. So a lot of it does have to do with the posing and direction and how we create those candid moments. And then really, as somebody who is being photographed, it is important to trust your photographer first and foremost. If I do shut down the lights, don't question that. Don't try to micromanage that. Don't say, did you take a picture of this? Did you take a picture of this? Did you take a picture of that? You have to trust the process. And that's why, again, it's really important that you get somebody you connect with that you can trust so that you can let loose. You don't want to treat it like an 8-hour photo shoot. I have also seen couples, again, working for other photographers. I had a bride once where the photographer told them to kiss. She kissed and then looked right back at the photographer and she's like, did you get it? Rather than just being in the moment, kiss him, look at him, embrace, let those moments unfold. It was literally like a photo shoot the entire day. And it was tough. It was tough as the second photographer to capture it because all the moments were really forced. So trust your photographer, go with the flow, try not to micromanage. Also, just like another side tip is when you're getting ready, I try to encourage my couples to get ready within close proximity to each other. That way I can kind of bounce around between each of their rooms and capture candid moments. Whereas if the bride and groom are getting ready 30 minutes apart from each other, it's going to be a little bit more challenging logistically to be able to capture those candid moments. So a lot of times they'll get hotel rooms on separate floors, and I can kind of bounce back and forth and make sure I'm getting candid moments of the groom, candid moments of the bride, etc. So
when you talk about that, like getting ready, I get the whole part of getting ready close to each other. That's kind of like a standard with most professionals. They advise that. But do you give this advice because you primarily shoot solo, so you have to balance it better, that way? Or is it because even if you have a second shooter, you still want to get some shots?
Yes. So usually I'm pretty much 99% of the time I'm shooting with 2 photographers. That is my preference. However, personally, I don't prefer that we split up unless we have to. There are instances in which we will. I mean, that's the benefit of having 2 photographers, but I would really rather be there to foresee the entire day, to provide that direction. If I needed to send my second photographer to capture those things, I fully trust that they would do it. But just me personally, I feel like I have a responsibility. Again, at this point, these people are my friends. I don't want to kind of leave them high and dry, so to speak. So I personally like to be there. I like to be the one that goes to the groom with my second shooter. I like to go to the bride with my second shooter. I like to have an eye on exactly what's going on the entire day. And at the end of the day, you've hired me, you've hired my company. And I feel super responsible for that. So I will really want to know what's going on. So ideally, I would prefer that I'm there throughout the entire process. Again, if we have to split up, it's totally fine. But it's, it's just a little bit better when I can kind of have my eyes and ears on everything throughout the entire day.
That's good because it shows that you take accountability for the wedding experience, hence say yes to a good wedding experience, but you take accountability for that. The only like question I would have is in the event that you had a bride that was getting ready at a hotel and the groom is getting ready at another hotel, and then they both have to go to the venue. So if you had 2 photographers, how would you balance it where, the bride's at one hotel and he's at another and they're not close enough? Like I did a wedding once where at first it was like, why did you guys do that? But touche, like literally the hotels were literally like this and they could just walk across. And I was like, why didn't you just get ready in the same hotel? But whatever. So how do you do it when it's not in walking distance?
A lot of times it comes with the timeline planning. So that's one of the things that I do a lot for my couples, whether they have a coordinator or not. When they do have a coordinator, I tend to do it a little bit more with their wedding coordinator than with them. But when they don't have a wedding coordinator, we do the timeline planning together. So we would do the timeline planning oftentimes where I go to the groom first to start the day, and then I plan the travel time in there, and then we go to the bride and we stay with the bride, just as an example. So a lot of it could just have to do with the timeline. If we can play with the timeline and maximize our time, then a lot of times I can still go to both places, even with the travel time. If the timeline is just too tight and we determine that together, then at that point I would split up. And I would send my second photographer to one location. I would stay in the other location. And then at that point we would meet up. Me personally, I pretty much always use the same second photographer. He's been with me since I started my business. So he knows exactly how I like to do things, how I like things captured. So that is an option as well. But usually, the timeline planning is a big part of it. And I'm there to help determine how much time you need for getting ready portraits. When is a good time to start the ceremony, going back to the natural light thing. We want nice lighting for your ceremony. We want nice lighting afterwards. So all that is involved with the timeline process. And that's how we make sure to maximize your time so that I can be there for every moment.
That's good. So we're literally on the last question. I kind of skipped a few because the way you answered, because she knows what she's talking about, kind of like crossed out some of them as redundant, which is, it's fine. Like I said, I want to respect everyone's time as well. So this kind of goes into like, what advice would you give wedding professionals that are wedding photographers that work with videographers day of the wedding? I know you mentioned some of the cons that you had, like them getting in the way or not being respectful of your time and what you need to capture. But when it comes to second shooting, I feel like there is couples don't necessarily understand as well the role of a second shooter. And then professionals don't have good understanding as well, I would say, to an extent, the role of a second shooter. One thing, and I'll let you talk, is I tell them, like, you're just as important as I am. If you're here, then there's a necessity. If that's the case, I could have just done it by myself. So, you shouldn't be there micromanaging the shooter. Did you get this? Did you check this angle? Did you make sure you like that? That defeats the purpose. Also, if the couple hears that, which they shouldn't, but if they happen to, then your couple's like, wait a minute, why is she asking? I'm confused. So you don't want to create that environment either on a wedding day. So talk about that, like advice for, for photographers that are working with videographers on a wedding day. And then also the second shooter aspect.
So as far as photographers working with videographers, which I kind of touched on it a little bit before, but I think it's really important to collaborate. Usually, like, let's say it's a situation where I'm the videographer and I'm coming in to work with another photographer. I will ask the couple who the photographer is. I will seek to contact them in advance. Just, a quick email. I'll make sure when I get there on the wedding day that I'm introducing myself, introducing my role. Like you said, kind of setting the standard and letting them know, hey, if I'm in your way, I usually tell people, tap me. Just tap me on the shoulder if I'm in your way. That way we don't have to say like, psst, we're not ruining the ceremony. If I'm in your way, just tap me on my shoulder. Things like that, just really kind of concrete ways. We want to ask each other, where are you going to be positioned? Where will you be when this is happening? Where will you be when that's happening? When we do the first kiss, I would like to go halfway up the aisle to capture that. Do you want to come with me? Do you want to stay back? It's really just, it's teamwork. It's open communication. When I'm doing both, I'm doing the same thing with my team. I'm telling them, you're going to be here, I'm going to be here, then we're going to switch. And there is a flow to it. So it's just really important that the communication is there, that everybody knows what to expect from the other person. And that there is that level of respect, and hey, I'm going to have a tripod here, so just be careful when you cross this way. It's just all about communication. So that's the biggest thing. I mean, as far as when it concerns the couple, again, it's just making sure that you have that open communication with your photographer and videographer, and that they are going to talk, and that you're going to encourage that, and you're going to explain kind of what their priorities are. I have had situations sometimes people say, well, the photography, it takes priority. And that might be the case. And that very well might be the case for the couple. And if they have expressed that, then if I don't get my shot, it's okay, because photography takes priority. But other times their video might be the priority, or they might both be super equally important. You can't assume that one takes priority over another. So just important to have that open communication with the people that you've hired to capture your day, to explain what your priorities are and what your expectations are as far as how they work together. As far as the second shooter, ask me that question again. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I know I kind of it was a mouthful. Just basically, and you can keep it short, it doesn't have to be super extensive. What should they communicate? Like, what should their mindset be as, a second shooter? Because, like, for instance, in Florida, we have groups that, I need a second shooter for this day. And sometimes, you have to be careful what you shoot, or who you connect with. But at the same time, I think for the person that's choosing, it shouldn't be what I call like a grocery selection. Like you're in Publix and you have a row of Pringles. This is me. I have this actually in a blog post, and someone read it and wrote me. It was like, that was so funny, but it was so good. Like you have a row of Pringles, right? Like I like the sour cream and onion one. So you have like 12 boxes to choose from, or whatever they call it. Some people just go and grab and they go. I look at, is the box bent? I look at the expiration date. Is the print messed up? And the Pringles may be fine if the box is bent, but it matters to me. I don't know why. It's like, I feel like I have something better if it's not, bent. And maybe the first 10 chips are going to be broken because there's a big dent right there on top, so it's very important as a professional to watch who you pick. And, even like if I can be transparent, there's been instances where it's like, well, how come, I wasn't asking? This was like earlier on when you're just trying to grow and get out there. And especially as I started shooting weddings, it's like, you can't redo a wedding. This is a wedding day. It's very important. Do things happen? Yes. There's no such thing as being perfect. You can have harsh light, use a filter, and you get like a little bit of a haze. And that, unfortunately, like how do I say this? And Elle, correct me if you don't agree. The haze is not necessarily, the haze is not necessarily because of the ND filter, because the ND filter, is just lowering the f-stops. But you're getting that haze from the sun. That's not you, and now positioning may be a little bit more accountability on your end, but you can get haze on your iPhone. You can get haze in your car. So if a primary shooter doesn't have understanding of that, they may go to that second shooter and say, well, why do the images look hazy? Or why, and it's like, wait a minute, like then you have this whole, so it's, it's, one is really knowing who you're working with too. Like Elle says, she has someone who's been with her for so long that he knows, like, I gotta, this how Elle likes it, I gotta do it. So that's kind of what I was getting on as far as like, when it comes to second shooters, I've had second shooters and I'm like, gotta go. Like, and it hurts. You don't want to seem mean but you have a brand to protect, you have a couple to protect, they want their day captured. So, yeah, I don't want to, because I asked you the question, so I don't want to answer. But I just wanted your professional standpoint, like, and it, like I said, it could be short, like the whole, advice for second shooters basically on the wedding day.
So I think when it comes to second shooters, it's kind of interesting. A lot of couples don't realize that many photography companies do kind of contract that out. I do a lot of second shooting myself, especially during slow seasons. And I love to work with other photographers. It gives me an opportunity to be a little extra creative when I'm a second photographer. But a lot of times they don't realize the second photographers do run their own businesses, and they don't work exclusively for that photographer. So it is important to understand, as somebody who's hiring them, who the second photographer is. What are their qualifications? How often do they work together? All those things. So it is absolutely very important. And I have seen photographers that will just, like you said, they just kind of pick somebody random and they'll post on Facebook, I need a second photographer for Saturday, and it's Wednesday. And they literally just bring anybody to your wedding. And it's, I don't know how they have the comfort level to do that. I'm not brave enough myself. But they do play an important part, and sometimes they do end up getting separated, and there's things that the second photographer is responsible for. So, it is kind of a big deal. As a wedding professional that's choosing the second photographer, again, like you said, it's really important that we vet them. I asked to see, I do have somebody that I work with regularly. On occasion, he's not available, maybe he has a family vacation or some things like that. So I do have some other second shooters that I rely on. And I'm asking to see full wedding galleries. I'm asking what kind of gear that they have. I'm asking how do they handle, dimly lit situations? Because me, for example, I do shoot flashes during the wedding reception. I want somebody else that's also going to shoot flashes so that our images look cohesive. Whereas if somebody is just using the available light, they may not want a second photographer that uses flash because, again, it's not going to match. So it is really important. I've even heard like horror stories. I guess I shouldn't say horror stories, but I've heard of a situation where the second photographer got in an argument with another vendor, and it's kind of bizarre. Luckily, I've never encountered that, but that second photographer is now representing your company. And if you make a hiring mistake and now they're arguing with the DJ, it's horrible. It makes you look bad. And I have heard of that on more than one occasion where the second photographer kind of stepped out of line and made the entire company look bad. I've seen second photographers that want to take over and start posing the client. And again, it just depends on a matter of preference. Me personally, I like my second photographer to capture alternate angles, but I am the one that's doing the posing and the directing because I've built a relationship with the couple. I know where I'm going with it. So I don't want a second photographer going in there and trying to completely derail what's happening. So those things are really important to keep in mind. And it is an important conversation to have when you're looking for a photographer. And from a photographer standpoint, it's really important when you're choosing a second photographer to hire.
Absolutely, absolutely. And definitely, I think it will, everything that Elle's saying is achievable. It may mean going through people and, having to not use them anymore. But the best way that you develop that is because you've worked with them. So like, like I was saying before, the lighting is changing. I feel like, sorry. Like I was saying before, it takes time to learn that. I have someone that shoots with me more regularly now, and it's like, we know each other's there, but we don't, because we flow so well together. So we still communicate, like, for instance, like right before the reception, we'll say like, okay, how do you want to do? You want to do close up or whatever, because that's just going in with a plan, which you should.
Right.
But you learn each other. So, and I'll tell you this much, when you have a consistent second shooter, the stress level, anyone, even a professional, even Beyonce says she gets nervous before she goes on stage. She's been doing it for years and she's Grammy Award. You already know Beyonce, but even she gets nervous, and it's because you care. So I think every professional has a little bit of nerves on them. I think the minute you stop getting nervous is because you can care less what happens.
Right.
So not having to worry about a second shooter, not doing something or being in the way or whatever, like that just takes the stress away. They shouldn't be a stressor. They should be a stress reducer. If anything, like Elle said, grabbing the second angle. There's been times when I'm like, the second shooter, my angle looked great this way, and their angle looked even better that way. And you don't look at it like, dang, I should have been. No, you look at it like, now that couple has two pictures at the same moment, and they're great. Elle and I did a wedding together that is still, I don't know how, because it's kind of old, and I don't mean it in an offensive way, but it's older. It's still being, showcased. It's still being shown. And, it's just because the images are, people like what they see. Like, and if they're like, hey, as long as they're not trying to post them in a derogatory manner or degrading manner, I don't care if it was, 6 months ago or whatever. And to the couple, like, being published, and I'm sure you can hone in on that too, they love that when they see that they're in Bride or The Knot or Mona Lucci. I mean, I can be pretty pair, say that 4 times fast. Pretty Pair Bride, which is for the curvier bride, which I love. I remember like researching, like, there's got to be something, and when I found it, I was like, I'm gonna submit as much as I can to them, because not everyone is not the magazine. First of all, the magazine brides aren't even magazine brides. They tell you they alter. So yeah, so this was really, really good. I don't want to hold Elle up too much longer, because she does have a business to run and a family. So if there's anything that you wanted to add that we didn't touch on, this is your time to do so. And if not, that's okay too.
I think we have covered a lot of ground, but obviously I'm available. I'm a big believer in community over competition. This was a huge part of the reason why I signed on to do this with you, Anesha. So again, thank you for the opportunity. And if anybody has any questions, I'm literally an open book. Please find me on Facebook, Instagram, email me, ask me whatever you want to know, and I'll be happy to help out.
Awesome. So like I said, guys, in the resource section, I know Elle mentioned signing up for her newsletter, so we'll link you. My whole thing is I'm not trying to pull it this way. I'm trying to push it back to the speakers. So we'll link you so that you can get to her website and get access to sign up for the newsletter and all the information that she has. And then once again, on the bottom of the page, her Instagram is linked there, so you can find her there and start getting connected. it should be recording. Okay. That's what I wanted to check. I didn't want to get going and then none of that got saved. So, all right. So you guys should have downloaded the Bride Series keepsake. This is where this is like super helpful. So if you haven't done this yet, go back to the website, and it's in the resources section of the website, and you'll be able to take notes based on the modules that we have. So for instance, we're in module 1, which is Be-YOU-Tiful, and you have tons of space to take notes. If you're a big writer like myself, I left like an empty space where you could just jot down for yourself. So I just wanted you guys to get access to that while we're talking, so you had something, you're not running around for paper and all that. All you need is a pen. And just print this, download it. You can also download it to your phone, and you'll be good to go. So we have Crystal Williams here, hairstylist from Orlando, Florida. And I have worked with Crystal several times. She's amazing. She is super professional, knows her stuff, especially when it comes to, honestly, like any type of hair. I was about to say natural hair, but she's really, really good with natural hair, which is a common hairstyle now with a lot of females. But she can do, I've seen her do all types of brides, and that's the truth. So I can't even like classify her as just a natural hairstylist. So we're going to have Crystal give you guys a little introduction. And we're gonna do this like conversation based. I will ask her some questions, but I just want it to be comfortable. So Crystal, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and what is your why?
Like Anesha said, first and foremost, thank you so much, Anesha, for just allowing me to be a part of this bride series. This is something that a lot of brides can really benefit from, because it's something that people don't tell you outside, and you're actually learning as you go. And a lot of brides are really inexperienced, but we want to have that versatility and be able to plan our own wedding and just know the ins and outs. So like I said, thank you so much for even allowing me to be a part of the series, because this is just a really big thing for me, and I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
As she said, my name is Crystal Williams. I am the owner of the Elite Hair Salon and Barbershop located here in Orlando, Florida. I am also the owner of Elite Hair Care USA. I specialize in natural hair, but I am a cosmetologist across the board. I don't just work with naturals, but hair care is my passion. So I tend to work with brides who want that natural look. They don't want to feel like they transform themselves and people can't recognize who they are. I am just one of those people where I feel that natural is beautiful, including relaxed hair, colored hair. So not just natural hair, I mean natural beauty. I've done quite a few weddings, and yes, I've done quite a few weddings with Anesha, and it has just been an awesome experience. I enjoy doing bridal parties. I am a licensed hair loss practitioner, which is on the medical side. I also dibble and dabble in weaving and just those different sort of things. Like she said, I am based here in Orlando, Florida, and I enjoy what I do. My why. My why can be quite long, but I'm going to give you the short version. My why is I feel like a bride should be timeless when it comes onto their wedding day, when it comes onto their pictures. So I noticed over time that a lot of the brides are dated when they're getting their hairstyling and their bridal party styling, and it doesn't make them have that appeal of, if someone's looking at your photos 10 years from now, they knew that you were in 1992. I like my brides to be timeless. I like my bridal parties to be timeless. I like things to be clean and seamless, and I just was not getting that. So that's what made me really introduce myself into the bridal industry, because I just wanted to be able to contribute to those brides who they didn't want a full head of weave. They wanted a natural style. They wanted a chignon, and that's the reason why I even did my hair like this today. This is actually a wig. I am partially natural and partially texturized. but I wanted to have that versatility. So this was an option for brides. That's why I did it. So that kind of gives you my why of why I do what I do and what I actually enjoy about, my job.
Awesome. Yeah, dated is probably the nicest way to describe brides not having just good education really on, like, you don't have to do the 1970s, bun or whatever. And
exactly.
That's, classic. I've seen natural hairstyles that are just like, you stop in your tracks. So yeah, that's a really good point. And I think brides will take note of that as well. So how can attendees find you? Before we get into like the Q&A kind of segment of it, which will be myself asking Crystal some questions, how can people find you?
Of course, on the social media platforms, my Instagram and my Facebook name is Elite Hair Care USA. I like to keep things the same across the board. You can also visit my website, elitehaircareusa.com, where on there you can submit for a consultation, or proposal consultations are free. And of course, I like to talk with my brides one-on-one, so my phone number is published. I am one of those stylists that is not afraid to give their number out. Anesha, I'm sure that they'll be able to get that on the site, so I won't really recite the number now, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Don't worry about this. It's live, guys. I told you. We're keeping it comfortable. All right, so we pretty much asked like the intro question. So now we're gonna get into what is called the live talk. So ladies, if you are ready, like I said, you should have, I kind of did the intro so you guys could go and download the Bride Talk keepsake if you needed to while we're doing this, because this is the little stuff that you can kind of play back for a replay. All right, so Crystal, let's get started. Woo-hoo! All right. So the first question is, like I say, guys, a reminder, if I'm looking, it might be your right or your left, whichever way your computer's showing up. But I have the questions on another screen, so to avoid covering anything potentially. So that's why I'm looking in another direction. So my first question for you is, what are some simple hair care regimens that a bride can do to prep her hair for the wedding day?
Okay, so I'll call it the TLC, before and after. Let's call it that. And TLC, tender loving care, as we know. Before your wedding, I always tell my brides, you want to start with a clean palette. That is number one. I know sometimes you're traveling from other places, you're doing other things, you're caught up, and you want to just kind of rush that through. Right. But you always want to remember that your hair and your makeup are the first two things that people see, not even the dress. If your hair is not nice, your makeup's not nice, they're really just gonna kind of go downhill. Right. So I always tell my brides, start with a clean palette, come with your hair clean, no products, no oils, because remember, all of that stuff plays a role as you go through the hours of your day. Your day might start at 6 a.m. and not end till midnight. So you don't want to have, all that caked on product and all that stuff trying to get through the day of the wedding. And then the day of the wedding, everything just goes completely bust. So that's before. I wouldn't say after, I'd say in between, because throughout your day, you're going to be doing different things. So you want to ensure that you get a style that is catered to what you'll be doing. You don't want to get something that it's going to be very hard to keep up. You're not going to be able to do it. When the stylist is gone, you're on your own at that point. So you want to make sure that in between, you're doing everything that you can just to make sure that you're prepped and you're continuing that look as you go through the day. Does that kind of make sense?
No, that definitely makes sense. Definitely good practical points for sure. So the next question is, how does a bride choose a hairstylist? Now, I know that's like, people will say, oh, we'll just go look one up, but I believe it should be a more committed, more I can't think of a word. More like, there should be more thought into it. I mean, I feel the same way about almost any vendor that you have for your wedding day, because it's a wedding day. And I think, like I said, going back to the intro that I did, a lot of people just go, oh, they do hair, or they do photos, or they.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So how would you say that, or what best advice could you give to brides about choosing a hairstylist?
Okay. So I kind of break that down into steps, and not so many steps. First thing is you want to find a hairstylist that caters to what you're looking for. And I'll kind of go more in detail with that. If you are natural and you're looking for a hairstylist that, you know, you want to add a couple pieces, but you want to still have that natural look, I would not choose a braider as my hairstylist for the wedding. I would not choose a weavologist. And when I say weavologist, someone who specializes in totally weaving 100%, because they're not going to cater to the natural side of you. They're only going to cater to the weave side of you. And then you're going to end up coming out in a different way than what you really portrayed. So that's number one. Find a stylist that caters to what you're looking for. Number two, professionalism. And professionalism is a very broad category, but I usually say professionalism. Number one, is that person reachable? Do they have a number that's published? Are you able to call them and talk to them? Or are you going through an Instagram page and they're telling you to go to a website and just book a consultation and hopefully they'll get your number and call you one day?
That's good.
Professionalism. That is number one. Because at the end of the day, when it's wedding day, and God forbid, it's 10:30 and they should have been there at 9:30, how are you going to contact them? You had no contact information in the first place, so that apparently they were not professional enough to say that they'd even publish their number. So that's number one. Number two, ensure that you look up their background, look at their photos, look at their Instagram page a year ago. Mm-hmm. What were they doing a year ago? What were they doing 6 months ago? If they only have pictures of themselves like this, and you don't see anything else, you see nothing in regards to bridal work, would you go with her for your wedding? Mm-hmm. Or him for your wedding? Because it's a unisex industry. That tells you.
Yeah.
You know? And then lastly, just make sure that they are up to par. You are not going to have $1 million wedding with a $20 hairstylist. Yes, pricing is a big thing, but at the end of the day, you get what you pay for.
Yes.
So that hairstylist that might be charging you $25 for every updo might not be who you want to go with, because that $25 might look like $0 of an updo. So make sure that, their price points match. And of course you have to match your budget, but don't undercut the hairstylist, because at the end of the day, that's the first thing people see. Hair, makeup, and of course, if that picture is not good, it's going to really turn out to be that way. So those are really the key points to finding the right hairstylist.
Very good, very good. And like I said, guys, I'm looking down because what I want to also do is provide, I want you guys to be able to take your own notes, but I like to have keynotes. So there's something that Crystal's saying that's really hitting me. That's what I'm putting down for keynote reference. So I'm attentive. I'm just taking notes. The teacher.
Anesha is awesome, guys. So this is a great thing.
Thank you. I'm blushing now. So the next question is, so I know we kind of talked about products that brides should avoid. It's kind of the first question, with what's some simple hair care regimens that brides should do for prep. So I want to kind of combine these two questions, and that would be, should a bride do a test trial with their hairstylist, and then should they do a test trial with their veil as well before the wedding?
Okay, so the test trial is based on style. If you've never met me, let's say I'm your hairstylist. You've never met me before. You're not from Orlando. Your wedding is kind of like a destination wedding. I would definitely do a trial, because you want to use that time to break the ice. You want to use that time to let me know, okay, my do's and don'ts. I'll use, Anesha, can I use you as an example, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Anesha has an allergy to coconut. That's something that, as stylists, we use every day. So we need to know things like that. And in the trial, that's the time that we figure that out. What if there's oil that I use on you that I shouldn't have used? And now on your wedding day, because we didn't do a trial, your forehead is swollen up because you were allergic to it. These are just things that happen, you know?
Very true.
And then I definitely would use the veil, because if the veil is the highlight of your dress. That's the thing that people are going to see first until you remove that veil at the time of you saying your vows.
Right.
If the veil intrudes with your hairstyle, then there was no purpose of that style. You know, you want to make sure that everything matches and everything is in its place. Everything has its place. If the veil is supposed to go over the shoulders, I definitely would not give you an updo. If the veil is going to be a very long train, I'm going to give you some type of hairstyle that's going to accentuate that train. You know what I mean? You want to do these trials because, number one, we need to get a feel of each other. We need to be comfortable. I want you to be comfortable. The worst thing that can happen is you're uncomfortable the day of your wedding because you've never met me. You have no clue what I can do. You have no clue how you're going to look. And then you're entrusting me to say, hey, make me pretty. Let's break the ice and do it the right way. Let's have that trial a couple months before so we can say, I don't like that style. Maybe we should go with something else. Or, hey, I love this, but let's add this piece over here. So that's my thing with the trials.
No, I mean, it's kind of like how photographers do engagement sessions. At least that's how I run my business. I look at the engagement session, and I tell my clients it's like the first date. So it's like, you know, the first date, you're not too comfortable, but you're open. You know, that's the time to ask questions. It's like, you know, what does he or she do? So it's the same thing with when you're taking images. It's like, okay, well, does that couple favor their left side or their right side? Maybe they don't do a lot of PDA. You don't want to find that out on the wedding day when you're like, hey guys, go, you know, forehead to forehead and kiss. And they're like, well, they should be kissing right then. But, you know, like for instance, like this image, you know, behind here on my banner, like that's, you know, from a real wedding. It's not a style shoot, it's a real wedding. If I didn't know that they were, you know, even when people are married, they still may not be that close publicly. Privately, yes, but publicly they might be like, no, we'll just do the prom pose. Or
more reserved,
like
right?
That. So that's a good point where it's applicable to, you know, hairdresser, hairstyling and picking your hairdo as well. Okay, so the next question would be, should the bride's hairstylist be the same person that does the bridesmaid's hair?
Yes. And I'll tell you why I say yes. Number one, I don't want to say a control freak, but I like to be in control of a situation, especially when it comes on to hair. I feel like whoever does the bride is to do the bridesmaids because you want it to have that natural flow. You don't want the bride to be extremely polished, and then the stylist that does the bridesmaids may not be as I'll say professional as the stylist that did the bride, and then the bridesmaids are not polished. They're not even meshing, and you can really tell when there's multiple people doing things. You can tell when there's 2 makeup artists or 4 makeup artists because everyone starts to have that signature for each artist.
Right.
And it's the same thing with hair. You know, I typically, when I'm doing a bridal party, I'm typically doing the bride and the bridesmaids because I want to make sure that at the end of the day, everyone comes out on an even playing ground. My bride is highlighted to the max because this is your day, but the bridesmaids are trickling behind, and they're not a really big difference between the two.
That's good. That's good. So it would almost be like quality, like 2 different. You can risk quality with how you look.
Oh yeah, I'll use an example. That's like here in Orlando, we have Publix, we have Walmart. Publix produce, Walmart produce. So it's like, okay, so I'm gonna go and make this intricate meal, and I buy Publix produce for squash and everything, and then I go get stale oranges from Walmart. No cuts of Walmart.
Yeah.
But I'm just using it as an example of the level of what happens. You end up not being able to fill that void.
That's true.
You're looking this way, and your bridesmaids are not as polished and pampered.
Right.
you know, and then it end up falling up where you're like, oh, and you are all in the pictures together. So you want to make sure that you're cohesive.
That's true. Cohesiveness. Yes, that's true. That's a good point. Good point. Okay, so what hairstyles are you finding to be popular in 2017? And if you can talk about both natural hair and, I guess, relaxed. I don't want to say the
chemically enhanced. I call it chemically enhanced.
What would be like, what are the popular hairstyles that you're seeing, and why do you think that they're so popular?
Okay, so the all-time high right now is the chignons and the messy buns. Mm-hmm. Okay. This particular style, like I said here, everyone they just want that timeless look. A bun seems to be very, very timeless, no matter if they're natural or if they're relaxed. And the reason being is, number one, it's pulled away from the face. It's allowing you to be natural, but not have to worry about that reversion during the wedding. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, people tend to want to go with the up style, but not so dated up style, like a French roll or something like that. Right. So this is a really popular style where it comes onto just like a messy bun, not too placed, not very polished, but still very intricate and professional and beautiful when it's photographed. You know, and then on the other side, I do have the styles where I'll use my hair as an example. You'll get the brides here. They have that.
I'm going to shut my video down so you guys can focus more. I don't want you guys to, that's why I keep stopping, because I figured
you have that style where the bride might be wearing, you know, her shoulders are out and she doesn't want it to up because she has, you know, some areas of concern or something, where they have it down with the drop curls, or they have it pulled to the side with some drop curls. This is not curled. I'm just using it as an example.
I love that look.
You know, and it's just, you know, it's once again, it's not dating you. It's timeless. Curls will always be in season. Buns will always be in season. Braiding, depending on the type of braiding. I have some brides where they do like the little braids here and they pull it back, and then they're pulling it up over here and they're making it, you know, just a very messy, and it gives some intricate, like just some real detail. Those are the styles that are really in right now. It's suitable for both natural or chemically enhanced. It's suitable for multicultural. It doesn't have a culture to it. So let's say you have a mixed bridal party, like when we just did our bride from Scotland. Mm-hmm. Her bridal party was mixed. You know, everybody had their own little thing, but it didn't make it where it was like a cultural difference. You know what I mean? So it still made it timeless. It still made it professional and beautiful at the end of the day.
Right. Those are very good points. Yeah, because that wedding we did together, everyone was from a different background. And, you know, people also, I think, I'm not a hairstylist, but just photographing different people and being around, you know, professionals like Crystal, even it's easy for people to assume that, and I'm going to use the word assume or stereotype, that certain cultures have a certain type of hair, you know, so exactly. It's like, if you're not, you know, I'll use my family. I don't want to talk about any, like a client specifically, but my family, you know, we have Irish, we have Mexican, we have African-American, we have Chinese, we have Hawaiian. So some of those cultures, you know, from stereotypes, you'll hear, oh, well, you know, African-Americans will have more coarse hair. You know, well, my nieces are both half Mexican and half African-American. One of them has her mother's hair texture, which is looser curls, thinner, not coarse at all. So I don't know what that hair type would be, but it's just, you know, like soft, I guess is probably the nice way to say it. Where my older niece, her hair she has these thick, she hates them, I guess, because, you know, girls like straight hair or whatever, but she has these thick, beautiful curls, and I'm just like, I would give anything to just take your curls and put it on my head, and I would be all day Beyonce, you know? So I think it's, you know, it's good to have a hairstylist that's well-rounded, because, you know, Crystal can get, I'm going to use the word get ahead, meaning a different person, and not go, oh my gosh, her hair's too straight, I don't know what to do with it. Or her hair is too coarse, I don't know what to do with it. Because I've been in that situation, even coming from New York to Florida. You know, in New York, it's such a melting pot that hairstylists are used to different types of hair. When I first, I'm getting all nervous. When I'm talking to myself, when I first came down to Florida and I went to certain salons, they were like, hey. And I left looking like a Pikachu, you know, it's like, what do I do with this? So, you know, eventually I found people, you know, but the first couple of years it was like, well, we don't have to do some braids or something, because no. So yeah, it's really good that, you know, there are hairstylists out there like Crystal who can do, like she said, multicultural looks, and you don't have to feel bad. And also, because I know there might be some wedding professionals that are attending this, so whether you're a hairstylist or even a photographer or cinematographer, for other hairstylists that could potentially be watching live with us, when you can do multicultural hair, you have an increase in revenue because you can do.
Oh yeah.
People. So it's not that people who specialize, because even with what I do, which is, you know, photography and cinematography, they say, well, you know, your website shouldn't show newborns, family, commercial, you know, like everything, because you know, people don't trust you as much. You know, like for me, I do weddings and events. That's what I do. Some people just do weddings, and that's great for them. So what I'm trying to get at is revenue wise, it's a great way to, you know, keep, you know, the cash register flowing, I guess.
Exactly. And I mean, it being multicultural, and I'll use myself as an example. Where I am, multicultural hairstylists it's a very small amount of us. Mm. And, you know, some wedding parties, and it's not a culture or a race thing, but some people have friends of other cultures and other races. Right. And you don't want to have to hire 6 stylists because Michelle only knows how to do African-American hair. Right. Brenda only knows how to do Caucasian or Spanish or, you know, any of the sort. You want someone that, like you said, is well-rounded. You want someone that can cater to all of you, still deliver 100% and execute 1,000%. Right. You know, and then at the end of the day, you are cohesive, like I said, and that word timeless is a big thing for me. Timeless. No matter who it is, across the board.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, so our next question is, and this one I would love for you to hone in as much as possible. Okay. As you can. Do you feel? I know it's like weird. It's like, well, I'm a hairstylist, but do you feel that beauty sleep is important to getting your hair done?
Yes. Okay, especially for brides. Sleep is the only way to revive the body. There's no magic pill. There's no magic potion. There's nothing else that we can do other than rest, rejuvenate, revive, start over, reset, any word you want to use. Because at the end of the day, your body starts to do things, and it does things in the places where you have pores and openings. You have the biggest pore or the biggest opening in the middle or the crown of your head. That is your soft spot, okay? That is where everything comes through. Your sweat, your thoughts, your anger, your feelings. If you're tired, it starts here, and then it trickles here. And that's when you start with the headaches and tension and all of this stuff. And you're wondering why your day is just not going the way it needs to, because everything started right here in the crown of your head and it pushed forward. Now it's coming through the skin because you're not rejuvenated. You did not give your body a chance to reset. And that is the biggest thing the day before your wedding. You have to reset. All of the stresses that you've gone through the first 19 months of planning this wedding is now here. So if you have not reset and started that day over, your day is just gonna end up going downhill. And by 11 o'clock, when it's time to throw that bouquet and say, hey, I'm married, you're like, hey, I'm married.
Yeah.
You know, so yes, beauty rest plays a major role. And it's not even just hair, makeup, skin, everything. It comes out, it shows, and especially in your photos. There's no magic potion to fixing a photo if you're sweaty and stressed out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You know, so that's a big thing.
No, that's very, very true. I like how deep you went in with that one for sure. That was good. Okay.
I'm passionate.
Sorry?
I'm passionate
Oh,
about
no,
how people
I know.
look.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
the 101 before, so I was like, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's that soft spot in the head. People
Yeah.
don't know that's the actual spot that you can be killed in.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Everything comes out of that. Your thoughts and your feelings. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have that's another bride series part 2 or something, 2018.
We should do a medical bride series.
Yeah. I mean, I know for 2018, meditation and honestly mental health is going to be a big deal because so many people have been suffering with mental health issues 2016 and beyond, even and especially like in Orlando, Florida with the Pulse shooting, you know, and things like that.
Oh yeah.
I lost a friend in that shooting, so I know what that's like. I mean, I used to be a nurse, so part of me is also, because I know some people ask me like, how do you deal with certain emotions during weddings or whatever. I think because I came from a nursing background where I saw death like regularly, and not because I was killing people, like it's just a part of life, you know. Because people were like, wait a minute, what's that? What are you trying to say? What hospital are you at? It's just a part of life, you know. Everyone is in a different. You can have a patient. I remember having a patient. I can't say too much detail because it would really link back, but he was in his 20s and something happened to him really, really bad, and he was like a vegetable basically. Thank God he came out of it, but I've seen patients, I can have a whole, what do they call it? I forgot what it's called. But anyway, I can have patients that same week who were like 20, 50, 80, 90, and all different phases of life is what I mean. So I've learned to like read people. My discernment is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It's another bride series. But, even at weddings, and I mention that because my next question is, what advice do you have for wedding professionals that work with hairstylists day of? And the reason why I mention that is because I think part of having a good wedding experience is what vendors you choose and how they interact with each other. I've dealt with vendors who was like, hello, what are you doing? Like I'm not snapping at them, but I'm like in my head like, yo, it's a wedding. Like I just did a wedding a few days ago where the DJ was arguing with his staff. Now, granted, the couple wasn't in the room, but I'm still like, we're here, like we can see it. Like it was just, take it outside or, just certain standards too. Like you can have different standards that other vendors don't. So you kind of feel like, so talk about that. Like what advice do you have for wedding professionals that work with hairstylists on the day of the wedding?
Okay. That's it's kind of a touchy situation with that question. As vendors, and this is talking to the professionals more say at this particular point. As vendors at a wedding, remind yourself that you have been chosen out of the millions of people to work with this beautiful bride and groom. This is their day. It is all about them. It's about no one other than them. And at the end of the day, they are paying you for your services. Appreciate it and don't cause drama, during the wedding. It's nothing about you. I mean, let's be honest. We are the back scene. We are the wall, and they are the people. Mm-hmm. So just make it your duty to work well with everyone. Introduce yourself. Come in with a professional outlook. Hi, I'm Joe. Hi, I'm Bob. Hi, I'm Michelle. Hi, I'm Crystal. Introduce yourself because we have to coexist. And best believe that if we have tension in between us, we're not talking. Everyone's like this. I'm only here to do the hair. No, you're here to pamper and take care of the bride. You have to work along with the other professionals to make everything go smooth. We're a team. Even though we're not even, but we are now a bridal team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the makeup artist, the wedding planner. I've had a wedding where I ended up having to step in and just kind of like take the reins a little bit because the wedding planner was nowhere to be found. Hello.
Yeah. I've been there. Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes that happens.
Right.
We're human. We have flesh. These things happen. But your focus and your main thought process is you want to make sure that your bride and your groom is all that's in your mind. No one cares about your personal problems, so don't bring them with you. Leave them in your car when you come into the venue. Leave them wherever, come in with a smile, and let's get this thing done and make this bride and groom beautiful. Make their day effortless. You know, work together. That's number one.
Now, have you ever, just kind of like piggybacking, because we pretty much went through the meat of the questions, which is great.
Okay.
Have you ever had to do the groom's, like, you know, I know mostly hairstylists get booked for the bride. Have you ever had to do the groom's hair on a wedding day, like a quick buzz cutter?
You know, it's kind of crazy. All of my weddings, I've actually never seen the groom until it was time to walk down the aisle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually get them done in advance.
Yeah, I don't really get that a lot. Now, I have done brides, bridesmaids, brides' cousins,
mm-hmm.
brides' friends, brides' aunts, uncles, and coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
Random. But, you know, I haven't really tackled the part where I had to actually deal with the groom because men are easier. And
right.
I'm sorry to say it that way. Men will get a haircut 3 weeks ago and you're like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And they're waiting on us.
They do. I mean, it's the fact that the wedding day is more tailored to the bride. It's starting to become a little less, you know, like I would say, 60-40, I guess, would be like a good, you know, cut off or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But before, it was just like the guy shows up, he stands there, but everyone's in awe of the bride. Now men are like, yo, I want a groom's cake. I want, you know,
yes.
this, I want that. So they're making it more significant and more important that they want to be recognized as well, which, I mean, it should be that way. You're a couple.
It's about both of the, it's about both, you know, and in years before, it was always the bride.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. As a woman, 80% of this wedding is the bride.
Right.
But you still have to account for that 20% of the groom because, you know, it's his wedding day too. This is a big step for him.
Right.
You know, this is also a major step for her. But, you know, times are changing. Things are changing. The world is changing.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we do things are changing, you know, and it's unisex in everything.
Yeah.
So, you know,
you have some brides who even wear suits now as their, or like a pantsuit, I should say, and not the typical
dress
or whatever. Yeah. So
exactly.
That's very true. Okay, so do you have any products that you'd like to share with any of the attendees?
Well, I am going to actually upload onto EliteHairCareUSA.com. You'll have a bridal hairstyling checklist. The checklist will allow you to just basically detail the steps that I gave at the beginning and all the way through, you know, this series, where it gives you the steps of choosing someone. It doesn't necessarily have to be me, but I'm one of those people where I give the information because at the end of the day, I'd rather you be educated than uneducated so you can make sound decisions in what you're doing.
Yes.
You know, so that checklist will be universal. You can use it across the board. And it's just a way to get you in the right direction of when you're choosing someone, what styles should you look at? What should you come to the table with when you're talking to someone and not just, hey, I'm getting married on the 2nd. Here's what I need.
Right.
No, it tells you what you should have, what photos, know what details to tell that person so you are prepared. Things are easy and you can, next step, I'm ready for makeup. My hair is chosen. Okay, let's go.
Right.
You know? So that checklist will be available on EliteHairCareUSA.com. I'll most likely make a link for it, and then I'll also put it in the drop-down menu under education. It's downloadable, so you'll be able to use it. And then you can also go on the website and schedule a consultation or submit for a proposal. I give proposals because this is, you know, at the end of the day, this is still business. Right. But I want to make sure that all I's are crossed.
Right.
All I's are dotted and all T's are crossed.
Gotcha.
So you guys are welcome to, of course, log on. And Anesha, are you going to be uploading that kind of stuff on?
Yeah, I was going to say that as we talk through, because I know some people are still like deciding what they're doing, which is okay. I'd rather them decide and not just totally say no if we can give as much resources as possible. So on the website, guys, there is a section that says resources. So that's where all of any like kind of giveaways or product links, even if it's a link, like we can link them to your site to download it from there. We can directly put it in a like a Dropbox link where they can link it from the Bride Series webpage. Either way, it probably would be better to link it to your site. So if they want to schedule an appointment, they can
be right there.
Yeah. So
okay.
we'll just actually we'll put our Crystal site, but I'll still make note of this so people will know. Last question. What are your thoughts? And this is like a bonus question. So Crystal doesn't know.
Is this the one that you didn't tell me?
What are your thoughts / tips on obtaining images or video from a wedding? Like how do you go about that? Or how do you even feel about that? And what I mean is like you asking or the photographer or cinematographer saying, "Hey, Crystal, I have pictures or video for you." Blah blah blah. Go.
Okay, I'll use Anesha as an example. Number one, if you know that you're gonna want to use a photographer's photos, ask for permission, please. Don't just go and they put it up on your Instagram. You grab the photo. You don't give them any credit. That's their job too. We wouldn't want someone to come and take our hairstyles and just say, "Oh, that's mine." No. So, build a relationship with the photographer. Ask them, "Hey, if you don't mind, after the wedding, do you mind if I use your photos?" Like Anesha, I'm constant. I stay on her like, "Hey, can I use that?" And I give credit. I give credit where credit is due. I don't impose anything like it's mine. And that's probably the most disrespectful thing that you can do to a photographer or cinematographer is use their stuff and don't give them credit.
Right.
That's their job. That's what you do. So that's the biggest thing for me. I'm all for it because that's a professional photo that I can place somewhere that can get me exposure. One of the weddings that Anesha and we did together. I was the stylist. This was actually the first time I actually met her. That photo from that wedding went global. It's still being featured. From every photo from that wedding is being featured. I have never had features. That was my first wedding of features, where it's borrowed in blue. It's so many different places. And it was just so exciting to see my work be put on a platform and I get credit for it. And Anesha is fabulous at that. She gives credit, and I really appreciate that because a lot of photographers, they don't remember the people that were in the background, and me, I'm just thankful for it because you're taking me with you.
Right.
You're telling people, "Hey, she did this. She really worked hard on this. This was a great thing." And now it's my turn to pay homage to the person that did that for me, which is Anesha. I have her photo posted in my salon. People think it's my wedding. It's not. I just tell them that the photographer and me worked so well. That picture went platinum. Let's say platinum. It went platinum. And as a gift for it going that way, as a photographer appreciating you, that is the best feeling when she brings you the photo as a gift. So that's my advice to any of the professionals that are on here that are working with photographers or cinematographers. Ask for their permission, build that relationship because the photographer is going to open that door for you.
Yeah.
They're going to bring you in.
I would also add that, and I know there's always pros and cons to everything we do.
Oh, yeah.
My whole vibe, and the speakers know, and it's not to coax. It's just people already have some negative experiences with weddings. So my thing is, I wanted this entire series to be, upbeat. How can we change that vibe? How can we make it better? And not only because initially I was just inviting couples and engaged people. And then I said, well, wait a minute. Maybe there are some professionals that need to hear things from, their people in their same lane. So it is, so there are some professionals that are tuning in. But what I will add, this is not necessarily a couple's concern. It's actually not at all. But what I will add on a professional level is if you don't like how a photographer or a cinematographer captures your client, don't use the word. Just, you know, the most you'll say is, thank you for sharing. Even if you think the picture is hideous or the video is trash, whatever you want to use, whatever word you want to use, do not come at them with either terminology that you don't know what you're using. Because, for instance, and I'm just gonna be like, it probably may not even be a negative, but I'll just make it. Like if I go to Crystal and I tell her, we're gonna use Bride Sally, you know, and I say, Crystal, Sally's drop curls are you know, they look split, like the ends look split, whatever. I mean, I know what split ends are, but maybe they're not. Maybe she's got layered cuts and it just falls that way. But I'm sitting here saying, oh, her ends look split. Crystal's gonna be like, I mean, she's gonna maintain her profession because I've worked with her. Trust me, I worked with her under circumstances where it's like, I looked and I was like, she's going on my vendor list. Like that was it. I didn't have to like, but she, in her head, she could be like, who are you to split? Do you even know like the definition of like, you know, or what if, you know, back in the day, I don't know if they still do this, but when they would, what do they call it? Like when they take a comb and they like, is it called teasing? And what if I'm like, oh, her hair looks poofy there. Why is it so poofy? But that's a part of the style that you and the client agreed. But I'm sitting here like, it's so poofy and I'm doing all this to, you know, to change it. You know, so you don't like it, one, to save your face, to keep yourself professional and to keep from offending the other professional who, especially if they're not charging you or saying, okay, yeah, you can have my picture for, you know, for $8 a picture or whatever their price is. If you don't like it, just say, hey, I don't like it, and don't use it. They're not going to get offended because they're going to showcase their work whether you like it or not. But the minute you start like using terminology that is of their field and you don't know like the connotation behind it, especially if it's a negative word, you're opening up a can of worms, and it's just not something that you want to attach to, you know, to you or your business or to the way that other professional looks at you. Because I know for myself, I had to reconnect with different people, and I noticed that when I started reconnecting with different people, I grew. You know, even the Bride series, a lot of the people that are participating, some are older relationships, but they're newer people that I met along the way, and it was just like, we click. And when I tell you guys, like, every speaker I asked, it was like, hey, I'm doing the Bride series. This is what I want to do. They were like, when and where? Let's do it. And I was like, okay. Like, I was so happy because that let me know that I was linked with the right people, that they care about you guys as couples, you know, and as professionals, you know, because like I said, some questions are tailored to professionals as well. And I'm with the right people. So I'm sharing this as a professional, but now switching back to couples, you need to be with the right people. So you need to be with the hairstylist that fits you. You need to be with a makeup artist that understands, you know, your look, your skin tone. You know, for me, I'm not like makeup and hair. How can I say this without Crystal laughing? I like my hair to be clean, you know, but I'll just throw it back because of what I do. I'm always on the move. So I don't have time for, I wish I did, but I don't have time for like drop curls and all this stuff, because honestly, I'm gonna do exactly what I did now because it needs to be out of my face so I can see. With makeup, I just wear eyeliner. I don't wear anything else. Thank goodness my mom or dad, whoever, blessed me with pretty decent skin, and I use Johnson & Johnson, and that's it, you know? So for me, that dramatic, even hair, like a dramatic hairstyle or dramatic makeup, I might put myself like in shock because I'm like, you know? So like someone was like, when you get married, what are you gonna do? I was like, what he sees right now, that's it. He better, you know, because I may not, and I may, who knows if that ever happens because I'm single. But you know, I'm very minimalist. I care about quality, and I don't feel like you have to overdo it for it to be like, wow, you know.
Less is more.
Yeah.
We're in the age now where less is more.
Yeah.
And I tell my brides that all the time. Sometimes they come with these photos and no shade whatsoever, but they come with these photos and I'm like, you're going to look like 97.
Right.
Okay. And you want someone that's going to be honest. You want someone that's going to be professional. And that kind of relates back to the point that you made about bashing and trashing and just doing that. As a professional, if you are a professional, you wouldn't do it in the first place. So that point wouldn't even have had to be said if you portrayed yourself as a professional. If you don't like something that someone else did, just keep it to yourself, move forward. This is a business. Take your personal feelings out of it because it's not about you. It's about our brides and our grooms. It's about making their day effortless. And if someone else hears that comment, you don't know if you just killed your entire career. That's to the professionals. You shouldn't do it in the first place because if you were professional enough, the day would have gone through, you wouldn't have had whatever to say, your feelings would have been kept to yourself, and you just move on. Right. And that's how I work. I move on. You know, I might have something to say in the back of my head, but I'm not going to say that in front of a bride. I'm not going to say that in front of her cousin because you don't know if that's going to tarnish your relationship and your career.
Correct. So we are at the end of Crystal's portion of the module. This was like really, really good. I mean, guys, like,
it was awesome.
To show you, I'm highlighting and taking notes. So just letting you guys know that I'm not just sitting here like doodling while she's, you know, I really want to put these keynotes, you know, make them relevant. But we're going to end Crystal's session here and get with our next speaker, which is basically why I'm getting a message now. It's fine. I knew that was going to happen. But Crystal, just remind people real quick how they can find you and your website. Go ahead and just throw that out there anyway.
Okay, cool. Once again, my name is Crystal Williams. I am the owner of the Elite Hair Salon and Barbershop located here in Orlando, Florida. I am also the owner of Elite Hair Care USA. I love what I do. And if you'd like to connect with me, you can do so via any of the social media platforms, which is Elite Hair Care USA. Those are my handle names for Instagram and Facebook, as well as my URL for my website, which is EliteHairCareUSA.com. You're welcome to go on there, download that awesome checklist that will be uploaded. You can also reach out and contact me. My phone number, my email, all of that information is available on all of my social media and website platforms.
Awesome. And check out her videos too. She has some cool videos. Like one of her videos went viral. And
yes.
She's just doing like a, I guess, is it
a wave?
A wave.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm talking about earlier when I said don't use terms you don't know because she's like finger wave. What is that? We don't.
People will say finger wave. It's not a finger wave. It's just a comb wave.
See guys?
Yeah.
Facts. I always bring facts. All right. Well, that's Crystal's portion. Like I said, we're gonna get into our next speaker. So we'll see you. Thanks again, Crystal.
Bye.
This completes module number 1, and we are so excited that you guys are with us. I know you're receiving a lot of content. I'm enjoying this. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, and then we are going to transition into module number 2. So if you need to get yourself something to drink or get some airtime, meaning go outside, get some fresh air, and then come back and join us again, we are happy to have you for module number 2.